Well, good afternoon, everyone, to the friends in China. And I would say good moment to the others, the friends in Europe and in the United States of America. It is going to be a very rich afternoon. And in order to introduce the context and the concepts, we have prepared a very short video that we are going to play now.
主要的内容和宗旨，给大家看一个非常短的小视频。
Under the China-Europe-America Global Initiative, dialogue is taking place around four main topics: museum, green economy, youth, and philanthropy. Today, coinciding with the UNESCO International Literacy Day, one officially starts our China-Europe-America Philanthropy Cooperation Initiative. Philanthropy is fraternity in action. It is a responsible engagement at the service of causes which are larger than oneself, be it in the field of education, for our planet, or for human health and well-being. Philanthropic efforts take different forms. Through experience sharing and the study of philanthropy, one can maximize its effectiveness and encourage its spirit. Obviously, progress is a highly complex phenomenon depending on a wide range of factors. But when those who are the most successful understand the significance of giving back, human and social advancement is certainly accelerated. On behalf of all those involved in today's event, I wish to express my most sincere gratitude to our partners, to our speakers, and to our audience. Thank you very much. 谢谢大家。
Well, of course, for this event, we have many partners and friends, but one of the very important partners is the China International Publishing Group. And here with us, we have Mr. Lu Cairong, the Vice President of this very important group. And it is my great honor, Mr. Vice President, to give you the floor for you to open this event.
尊敬的各位嘉宾、女士们、先生们、朋友们，大家好！很高兴参加中欧美慈善合作倡议首场对话活动。首先，祝贺高大伟先生成功的发起中欧美全球倡议，相信此举将进一步增进中欧美各领域的交流合作和相互理解。作为中国规模最大、历史最悠久的综合性专业国际传播机构，中国外文局也将发挥综合优势，支持当代中国与世界研究院、中国网、北京周报、今日中国、聚焦中国等积极参与中欧美全球倡议各方开展合作交流，讲好慈善故事，助力公益慈善事业的全球合作，为构建人类命运共同体做出积极贡献。大家知道，英文中的慈善一词源自希腊文，是博爱、爱人类的意思。中国儒家强调以人为核心的仁爱思想，主张推己及人，兼济天下。由此可见，慈善思想在中西方都有着很深的渊源。慈善事业与人类福祉密切相关，发展慈善事业是一个社会文明进步的重要标志。慈善组织可以了解处于社会底层群众的需求与困难，鼓励和帮助需要援手的民众，可以将社会声音反映给政府机构，为推动人类发展进步和社会和谐发挥重要的作用。在中国，慈善与扶贫紧密地联系在一起， 改革开放40多年来，中国政府通过不同的扶贫方式，解决了亿万人民的温饱问题，走出了绝对贫困，创造了世界减贫史上的奇迹。特别是在2020年，现行标准下9899万农村贫困人口全部脱贫，实现中国在共同富裕路上一个都不能掉队的伟大梦想与庄严承诺。在国际上，中国政府的国际慈善援助更是构建人类命运共同体与共享发展成果的重要的现实举措。中国在自身与自身发展同时，始终坚持向广大发展的国家提供力所能及的援助，承担应尽的国际义务。中国的对外援助对帮助其他发展的国家改善社会经济发展条件、提高自主发展能力、增加就业和收入、消除贫困等做出了重要的贡献。本次参会的许多中国知名慈善机构都参与其中，发挥了积极作用。今天的科学技术水平已经发展到古人难以想象的地步，但是仍然普遍存在着发展不平衡、不充分的问题，依然存在着巨大的南北发展差距。面对这些问题，我们很期待聆听来自各行各业的嘉宾分享的故事、经验、方案和真知灼见。希望我们能推动构建一个远离贫困、共同繁荣的世界。希望各国民众都能够摆脱贫困、富足安康。希望我们共同努力，为世界各地的孩子们创造衣食无忧的生活，让幸福和欢乐走进每一个家庭。最后，预祝本次会议圆满成功，谢谢大家。
非常感谢局长的精彩发言。Now it's my great pleasure to invite Miss Vivian,
邀请
famous collector, to give the second welcome address, and I would like to thank Miss Vivian Chia for having accepted to be on the board of trustees of the China Europe America Global Initiative, and your support, Madam, is very precious, and on behalf of all of us, we would like to express our gratitude. The floor is yours, Vivian Chia.
大家好。早在1500年前的南北朝时期，中国佛教组织就创办了基金会性质的无尽藏，以无尽藏物施贫下众生，以慈悲之心广行善举，帮助了很多的人，践行了佛教经典中的教义：大慈与一切众生乐，大悲拨一切众生苦。在大慈大悲之间，让人们感受到最纯粹的快乐，解脱生命中的痛苦。今天的世界科技日新月异，全球化的进程让人们的命运息息相关，而我们的慈悲心、慈善的本质却没有改变。一代又一代的人把它们传承下来。我想，慈善的根本是人们内心深处对美的追求。美是什么呢？在中国最早的字典《东汉时期·说文解字》中，我们可以找到答案。说羊大为美，肥羊味道鲜美，这便是最早对美的阐释。此后2000年中，美像春雨，润物细无声，渗透到社会生活的方方面面。但就其根源，美来自人性中最朴实的地方。美是超感性的，美是非功利性的，美是可以与人分享的。就像歌德曾经说过，唯有艺术可以疗愈人心。我们应该遵循前人走过的路，重新踏上征程。今天的基金会历史虽然不长，但慈善深植人心，对美的追求成为历代传承的珍宝。而今天慈善的对话中，有来自中国、欧洲和美国的朋友们，在这里做出最珍贵的承诺。我们应该携手同行，用我们的力量帮助那些需要帮助的人。 未来我们会在各个领域内兑现我们的承诺。这里有一个很重要的点，我的理解，慈善是以出世的精神做入世的事情。今天的世界，大家面对同样的一些问题，如果中国可以从国外的经验中获益，别的国家也可以从中国的经验中学到很多的东西。如果我们可以从历史中吸取教训，未来的一代也可以从我们的经验中找到方向。慈善基金会作为一剂良药，它能唤醒内心深处的一个声音，以内心的秩序对抗这个世界的复杂性，这是我们共同的使命。慈善不是一个人或一群人的事业，而需要一代又一代，代代相传。慈善也没有国界、族界之分，而需要各国各民族共同追求，齐心协力才能实现。孟子在公元前300年讲过，大人不失赤子之心，这个道理简单而又深刻，这条路漫长而又坚定。谢谢大家。
非常感谢贾女士。Now, besides these two very significant welcome addresses, a very famous Chinese photographer whose name is Chen Man has prepared a special message for our event, and I am very happy with my colleagues to share with you now this special message.
我是陈曼，有人用文字或音符抒以己见，而我是用图像来表达自我。当我们使用文字时，可能会需要翻译，但音乐和图像是不需要翻译的语言，它们能带我们走向共通的人性。慈善也有这样的普适性，在中国、欧美和北美，慈善的形式可能有所不同，但慈善和博爱的行动在这些地方都在切实地发生着。中欧美慈善对话为不同组织提供了协作的平台，促进慈善事业的发展。作为一名摄影师，我最常运用的就是光线。我觉得这光线它是没有任何的分别心的，光线照在任何人的脸上、任何人的身上和任何的土地上、任何的海洋当中，它都是一种公平的光明和温暖。所以非常相信光，也是非常相信爱。作为慈善事业，它也是这样，充满了没有分别的这种对待的一种心情。中欧美这次慈善对话，正是承载着这种光的力量，然后带给更多的人更多的这种光明，然后希望能在这种光明当中的人不要去惧怕黑暗，因为正是你们去点亮了在黑暗当中的这些人，让他们重回光明。无论是教育、地球还是人类健康，我们都需要参与其中。预祝本次活动圆满成功。同时，我想对年轻朋友们说，要参与其中，给予他人能够生。
Of course, we have chosen September the 8th for this conversation on philanthropy because it coincides with the UNESCO International Literacy Day. And it's a very great honor, I think, for all of us to have today the support of Madame Irina Bokova, former Director General of the UNESCO. And I invite us to listen to the speech, the keynote address of Madame Irina Bokova to our first China-Europe-America dialogue on philanthropy.
Ladies and gentlemen, allow me first and foremost to congratulate the organizers of this conference and the launch of the China-Europe-America Philanthropy Cooperation Initiative. Let me, from the very beginning, share the starting point of this initiative, namely that philanthropy is essential to solving many of the world's most critical problems. As a former Director General of UNESCO, I'm equally happy that this meeting is organized in the 8th of September, the International Literacy Day, and allow me to emphasize also the leadership of China in celebrating this day by establishing already in 2005 the UNESCO Confucius Prize for Literacy. International Literacy Day 2021 is celebrated under the topic Literacy for a Human-Centered Recovery, Narrowing the Digital Divide. The COVID-19 crisis revealed the unpreparedness of education systems, infrastructure, educators, and learners for distance learning, and the fragility of adult literacy programs. It hit hardest those who were already marginalized, including 773 million non-literate adults and young people, 2/3 of whom are women, and the 617 million children and adolescents who were failing to acquire basic literacy and numeracy skills even before the crisis. Confucius famously said, "Education breeds confidence. Confidence breeds hope. Hope breeds peace." These words resonate deeply with my belief that the role of education in contemporary world, in a fragile world, and the challenges we confront is critical. If I mention this, it is because I deeply believe that philanthropy, and I would enlarge it, borrowing from the United Nations language and approach, partnerships are increasingly important in our efforts to achieve the SDGs, from eradicating poverty, reduce inequalities, and provide quality access to healthcare and education, including climate change and tackling the need to protect the planet and the biodiversity. The Agenda 2030 for Sustainable Development is built on a fundamental shift in approach to development, as it seeks to engage the unique roles and resources of all sectors of society and requiring extensive collaboration. So Partnership for Sustainable Development Goals are a multi-stakeholder approach taken by governments, intergovernmental organizations, the private sector, and the civil society. And this is exactly what the SDG Goal 17 reads: strengthening the means of implementation and revitalize global partnership for sustainable development. I see this as an important vehicle for mobilizing and sharing knowledge, expertise, technology, and financial resources to support the achievement of the SDGs, and also to encourage and promote effective public, private, and civil society partnerships, building on the experience and resourcing strategies that already exist, but bringing also innovation, which is critical in these challenging times of recovery after the COVID-19 crisis. We should look today at Goal 17 with a particular emphasis on technology. The digital revolution was already changing how we communicated, how we created and shared knowledge, and it had already impacted jobs and skills and health and many of the other ambitions. COVID-19 has accelerated the digital at speeds we never imagined. Today, it is more than ever true that technology can bring solutions that are transformative, inclusive, and also sustainable in order to respond to the crisis. At the same time, it has exposed the digital divide like never before. The facts are staggering. 3.7 billion people are still not connected to internet. Fewer than 1 in 5 people in the least developed countries are connected. Divides in access are exacerbated by divides in literacy, skills, services, and made worse by gender divides, holding back girls and women. We must do everything to ensure technological breakthroughs are development breakthroughs. This is where partnerships and philanthropy can make a difference. Governments will need indeed assistance from philanthropic organizations and the private sector in order for the SDGs to succeed. Philanthropy can provide more than just financing for these goals, but to make long-term commitments towards complex issues, as I mentioned, such as inequalities, climate change, protection of biodiversity. With a 3 billion per year price tag, philanthropy cannot fund the goals to completion alone. Instead, it must leverage non-financial resources as well. It can bring important technical expertise, strong grantee relationships, and links between government, civil society, and the private sector. This, I believe, is the role that philanthropy is uniquely positioned to play, and one that is vital for the success of the SDGs. But to harness its full potential, we need better data sharing, coordination, and policy dialogue. International organizations are calling for better understanding and greater transparency on how philanthropic sector can best contribute to the global development agenda. I'm confident that this conference, as well as the future report, will be exactly this response needed and will bring closer government, civil society, and the private sector so that no one is left behind, as is the underlying ambition of the United Nations Agenda for Sustainable Development 2030. I thank you for your attention, and I wish a lot of success to your conference.
Well, it's always a pleasure to listen to Madame Irina Bokova, and I think we have, with this keynote address, the roadmap for this afternoon and much beyond, of course. And I would like to thank again Madame Irina Bokova for her support to this event, but also for the work that she's doing in order to have harmonious relations between China and the West. She's a very important bridge at this very complex moment between China and the West and the world, I would say, at large. So once again, thank you very much to Vice President Liu Cailong for the brilliant welcome address and the support of the China International Publishing Group to today's event. This is very, very precious. I would like once again to thank Vivian Tia for her work, her support, and her deep thoughts. This is very important also to put this event into a philosophical perspective, I would have to say, and of course to Chen Man to say to the young people, be engaged, your engagement matters a lot. So you know that we have divided this afternoon in 3 parts: philanthropy for education, philanthropy for the planet, and philanthropy for human health and well-being. And it is now my great pleasure to introduce Professor Louis Godard, who is now in Rome, to chair the first session of the afternoon on philanthropy for education, knowledge, and arts. And Professor, no one is better than you to chair this session because you embody culture. You have been the cultural advisor of 3 Italian presidents, and on behalf of all of us, all the partners, the colleagues involved in this event, I would like to thank you for your trust, and it is a great personal honor for me to give you the floor, Professor, for you to chair the first session of this dialogue on philanthropy. The floor is yours, Professor.
Thank you very much, Professor Gosset. I must say that it is a great honor for me to be introduced by you and to have the pleasure and the honor to chair this first session and introduce the speakers. And the first speakers is Mr. Xu Yongguang, who is the founder of the Project Hope. The Project Hope deserves its name. Started on October 1989, it aims to bring schools into poverty-stricken rural areas of China to help children whose families are too poor to afford complete elementary school education. Mr. Xu Yongguang, the floor is yours.
好的，谢谢大家。我今天以希望工程为例，来谈谈自愿和透明是第3次分配的命脉。最近，中国中央财经委员会提出构建初次分配、再分配和第3次分配协调配套的基础性制度安排，以实现共同富裕的目标，引起了全社会的高度关注。关于第3次分配呢，公益界关注比较早。2004年，我和范宝俊2位全国政协委员递交了一个提案，就建议在通过市场按照竞争性原则进行第1次分配，通过政府按照强制性原则进行第2次分配的同时，还需要建立通过社会按照自愿性原则进行第3次分配这样的一种新型分配机制，使社会的资源分配趋于公平。当时我们递交这份提案的时候，还介绍了以救助贫困地区失学儿童为主旨的希望工程捐款的转移方式。这些数字呢，是来自于联合国评估机构对于希望工程10周年的评估。那么这项报告显示，希望工程每支出100元，就有89.8元从城市转移到农村，有87.7元从发达地区转移到贫困地区，有88.2元从中高收入阶层转移到低收入阶层。希望工程呢，启动于1989年，当时中国改革开放开始不久，穷国办大教育，政府还没有力量完全解决贫困地区孩子因贫困失学的问题。有一家公益组织中国青少年发展基金会实施的希望工程，得到了社会的广泛响应。那么这个数据，这个评估报告还表明，在全国30个省会城市当中，16岁以上的居民中，有93.9%的人知道希望工程。在知道希望工程的居民中，有63.5%的居民本人以各种方式为希望工程捐过款，有61.6%的居民所在单位为希望工程 举行过劝募活动。那么说明希望工程当年已经成为全社会参与的公益事业。关于对希望工程捐款是否出于自愿的问题，这是一个非常重要的问题。97.8%的个人捐赠者回答是自愿，0.6%的说不是自愿，1.6%的表示不清楚。那么对于集体捐赠人的调查，回答与此相似，96.4%的联系人回答是自愿，0.4%的说不是自愿，3.2%的表示说不清楚。希望工程呢，不仅强调自愿参与的原则，而且设计了一套公开透明的1对1资助的模式，每一笔捐款都有明确的资助对象，每一笔捐款背后都有一双监督的眼睛。公开透明和公众监督成了希望工程最好的保护绳。所以希望工程创造的最大的价值不仅仅是捐款，最重要的是社会信任这样的一种社会资本。所以参与希望工程，首先是从社会这个大众开始，以后呢影响了企业，也后来是高层领导也参与。但是呢，高层领导参与希望工程都是以个人的平等的身份参与希望工程。1992年，邓小平先生2次以一位老共产党员的身份为希望工程捐款。25名受助的孩子给邓爷爷写的感谢信，经过我们通过媒体披露。那么这样的一种信息披露，不仅产生了领导人的行动，产生不令而行的强大号召力，而且也诠释了民间公益的纯洁性。不是说要政府发令，而是个人参与。习近平总书记在希望工程30周年的时候，给希望工程的评价是创新社会动员机制，这特别重要。2019年，我们要对比一下，美国的慈善捐赠是4496.4亿美元，占美国当年 GDP 的21%。那么，而且美国的非营利组织在教育、医疗、养老、社区服务领域的作用举足轻重。与美国相比，中国在慈善捐赠的绝对数上还相差18倍，占 GDP 比重还相差12倍。那么在同类的社会服务事业中，中国民间组织所占的份额也是微乎其微。好，32年前开始的，可以说是穷人帮更穷的人的希望工程，尚且可以做到全民参与。那么今天，中国已经成为世界第2大经济体，中央提出把第3次分配作为制度性的安排，那么对于推动公益事业的发展，无疑是重大利好。只有坚持自愿和透明，把社会信任作为第3次分配的生命线，才可以保证这项制度的顺利推进。谢谢大家。
Thank you very much, Mr. Xu Yongguang, and deep congratulations for this splendid Project Hope. Now I have the pleasure to introduce the speech of Mrs. Diana Bracco, who is president of the Bracco Foundation. The Bracco Foundation aims to create and disseminate expressions of culture, art, and science as a means to improve the quality of life and social cohesion. The foundation plays an important role in promoting and safeguarding the Italian cultural heritage. And I do not forget that together we have brought to light the paintings of Pietro da Cortona in the Quirinale Palace, seat of the presidency of the Italian Republic. Mrs. Diana Bracco.
Thank you for the invitation at this wonderful initiative that brings together China, Europe, and the United States. A warm welcome to all of the participants, especially our moderator, Louis Godard, whom I have known and esteemed for many years. It is encouraging that discussions can be held at the international level about how philanthropy can help to address the major health, environmental, social, and cultural challenges of our time. I know well the attention that our Chinese friends give to this matter, also because for several years I had the honor of serving as Vice President of the Italy-China Foundation. I believe in the importance of building bridges between the diverse cultures in this period when complexity and opportunity often go hand in hand. Indeed, there is no government or company, no university, non-profit organization, our foundation, that can solve the world's problems alone. The health crisis caused by the pandemic has showed us how quickly the entire world can be shaken. It is therefore our duty today to work together to find the financial, organizational, and managerial resources to face the great challenges we have before us. One important example is the Global Partnership for Sustainable Development. The Sustainable Development Goals, which have replaced the previous Millennium Development Goals, identify the involvement of the private sector as a crucial element, focusing on collaboration between for-profit and non-profit. Philanthropy has always been part of the Bracco family's DNA. As early as post-World War II, my father, Fulvio Bracco, created some scholarships named after his mother, Nina Salata, which may be considered the precursors to our initiatives for the youth. In the following years, our group introduced company policy focused on taking care of people, protecting the environment, practicing sustainability, and supporting culture and equal opportunities. Looking back on our cultural projects from recent years, there have been many rewarding moments, from bringing Canaletto to the National Gallery in Washington, where I also had the honor of serving on the board of trustees, to contributing to the La Scala Philharmonic performance at Expo 2010 Shanghai, from the consistent focus on gender issues to the constant attention and concrete improvements in the urban outskirts. But perhaps the greatest satisfaction was having been chosen by the President of the Republic as the main private partner for the restoration of the Pope Chigi Gallery in the Quirinal Palace to mark the 150th anniversary of Italian unification. In order to better structure our activities in 2010, together with my sister Gemma and with the support of many friends, we launched the Bracco Foundation. Many of our foundation's initiatives in these first 10 years have produced positive and concrete results, whose social impacts have been measured by specific tools. Furthermore, we have provided technical and scientific support to many of these projects. Diagnostic imaging, the sector in which Bracco is a world leader, is a technique that helps reveal many hidden secrets in works of art, such as painting and musical instruments, and it seemed natural to us to offer our expertise in this field to curators and restorers. The three main areas we deal with, combining knowledge, disciplines, and opportunity, are art, science, and social projects. We always pay particular attention to women's issues and the youth, to whom we have dedicated Diventerò, a multi-year training and work experience initiatives that has already provided over 1,000 graduate awards, scholarship and doctoral research grants to date. Particularly significant among these is the award in memory of Professor Ernst Felder, the prominent scientist and long-time head of Bracco Research, whose discoveries revolutionized diagnostic imaging. The $1 million award aimed to bring a young, talented researcher back to Italy to help launch a project on green chemistry research in collaboration with the Polytechnic of Milan Foundation. Similarly, we have helped support the future of young artists through our long-standing partnership with the La Scala Academy. And we will bring the Academy's orchestra to Expo 2020 Dubai for a grand performance to celebrate the Italian National Day on November 24th.
Thank you very much to President Diana Bracco for the role she plays in the Bracco Foundation. And now it is my pleasure to introduce Mrs. Joanne McEntee, Board of Trustees, China, Europe, America Global Initiative, former Undersecretary, United States Department of Commerce. I am happy to see the association of these three names, China, Europe, and America. The common action of the great Asian country, Europe and America, is vital to achieve the goals of philanthropy for education, knowledge, and arts mentioned in today's meeting. Mrs. Joanne McEntee, the floor is yours.
Hello and good afternoon. We are currently in an era of unprecedented transformation, and coupled with the COVID-19 pandemic, humanity is being put to the test, not least in how we work together to solve the many complex problems of our time. Philanthropy is a key to this endeavor, but we must acknowledge that it is also having difficulties as the very concept of traditional philanthropy is coming under attack. Critics are questioning whether philanthropy is really effective, how should it be viewed in the context of global inequality, and whether it can remain a legitimate undertaking as currently practiced. Since the global health crisis started, many among the wealthy have expressed their desire to contribute financially by deploying resources, supporting communities in their home countries, social enterprises, or setting up philanthropic trusts. It has also led to the greater realization of people's own mortality and the possible transience of hard-earned assets. Philanthropic efforts must be relevant and responsive to these initiatives that clearly benefit the philanthropy practice. The philanthropic programs provided by the large foundations, international entities such as the UN, and extremely wealthy heads of business are certainly critical and highly effective, but perhaps there's also a value in efforts to supplement these programs. Such targets include private family and public business entities. Within relatively newly created businesses of significant wealth, many employers are becoming attuned to the demands of their boards, employees, and their public consumers to support more than national emergencies and contribute to social issue solutions. Meanwhile, many wealthy families throughout the globe have taken philanthropic interest and action through family offices to become a catalyst for positive social change. Currently, we are working with some of the best financial, social, and management experts to respond to these new philanthropic requests. There's also the potential of a domino effect of such family offices. That is, galvanizing segments of the community to come together to collectively build a more sustainable ecosystem for not only others in the community, but future generations as well. A report from Harvard University recently noted that the philanthropic practice is remarkably young. Nearly 3/4 of foundations were founded within the past 25 years within philanthropy. What that means is that philanthropy can play an even more significant role in development work in the years ahead as people develop priority areas and become even more sophisticated in their abilities to identify worthwhile investments. Philanthropy is now much less about putting band-aids on problems that are broken and much more about fixing the underlying systems that are causing those injuries to happen in the first place. However, international commitment and collaboration are necessary to explore and achieve philanthropic expansion goals. The creation of an annual philanthropic summit of key players from the source and demand countries, as well as other key international stakeholders, could help focus on the need for new ways to look at increasing philanthropic opportunities. Imagine a task force of international and country experts formed as a part of a summit to explore the following 5, quote, out-of-the-box philanthropic issues, such as 1, approaches to attract new wealth by exploring family offices, mega donors, and other new philanthropic incentives. 2, solutions to address the lack of country-by-country philanthropic data, which prevents resources from being effectively allocated. 3, ensuring that philanthropic giving is open and transparent. While a degree of anonymity may sometimes be required to protect a donor or recipient, in general, we should aspire to openness. 4, making philanthropy even more appealing to more audiences by ensuring that it's not seen merely as a tool for the powerful to entrench their advantages. It is vital to find ways to give away not only money, but also the attenuating power to make decisions. 5, the creation of a clear message supporting the criticality of philanthropy by businesses, individuals, foundations, and governments globally. Since Asia is the current site of the fast-growing segment interested in philanthropic measures and alternative means of giving are in high demand, we could hope that China might play the host country for such a high-profile and international collaborative meeting. Cooperation on the issue of philanthropy offers the US and the EU and China an important opportunity to strengthen their crucial relationship, as the need for philanthropy offers a relatively non-controversial arena for cooperation. Combining the resources and complementing strengths of China, the EU, and the United States would send a powerful message that they are indeed prepared to address the critical issue of philanthropy, and others should join them in this goal. We hope that such a challenge will be met by a significant global response to help not just our neighbors, but in the end, also ourselves. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much to Mrs. Joan McEntee. And now it's my pleasure to introduce Mr. Shen Qing, Board Chairperson of Enlightened Foundation, who will speak of knowledge and the career passing on goodness. Wonderful title. That is an extraordinary program. It is in fact through knowledge that the great achievements of humanity have made it possible to improve human existence. Obviously, a lot remains to be done, but only knowledge will allow us to progress toward goodness. Mr. Shen Qing, the floor is yours.
对不起，大家好，我是北京大鸾祥宇慈善基金会的理事长沈清，非常荣幸得到邀请，能够参加这个开创性的并且有着深远意义的这一个国际论坛。大鸾是中国古代对一个神鸟的称呼，也是中国的第一位总理周恩来的儿时的昵称。祥宇呢是有翱翔于宇宙的含义。也是周恩来先生的别名。大鸾翔宇寓意着一只极强的神鸟翱翔天际，将爱播撒到人间。而我们的英文名称就简单很多，只是 Enlightened Foundation。基金会是由周恩来先生的侄女，也是我的母亲周秉德女士在2016年发起成立的。我们今天的主题是面向教育、知识与艺术的慈善事业。这也是我们基金会很重要的一个方向，而且呢是国际化的。比如我们在2019年出资在尼泊尔加德满都重建因为地震损坏的一所教学楼，这所学校的名字叫阿南达库迪，在2020年已经交付使用了。我们期待着疫情结束以后，可以与这所学校在教育、知识与艺术方面能够有更多的交流。我们还在蒙古国的小学捐赠书包和画笔，孩子们创造出了很多美丽家乡的图案和他们心中的画面。他们的歌声和舞蹈呢，也给我留下了很深刻的印象。将来我们也会继续促进两个国家孩子们的互通。我们与日本国也有一些文化交流，我走访过日本的一些大学和中学，也计划在日本呢举办一些文艺交流和展览。虽然疫情确实是一个很大的阻碍，不过我们与各方面保持着很好的沟通，也期待着实际的互访能够早日的实现。当然，我们在中国的大学和落后地区的中小学都有教育方面的资助，比如我们在浙江大学设有恩来基金，用于对学生社团的资助；在青海省设立了恩来树人计划，用以对大学毕业生就业的培训和指导；在四川、贵州、甘肃、宁夏等地区，资助很多的困难的学生，创造条件，为更多的学生获得更广泛的知识。教育、知识与艺术是国际化的，也是人们相互了解、相互认知、相互欣赏、相互交流的基础，也是人类文化交流的重要部分。而文化的交流也带来了文明的交流。习近平主席2019年3月在法国尼斯与马克龙总统会见的时候呢，马克龙总统向习近平主席赠送了1688年法国出版的首部《论语导读》的法文版的原著。 这就是见证了中法文化交流的源远流长，也印证着两国之间的文化亲近感。这是国家层面文化相通的体现，而在民间知识的相通、艺术的互通，更是表现在方方面面。比如，我20几天前在浙江绍兴农村的一间低矮简陋的村屋里边，拜访了一位以收废品为生的画师。他的油画技艺是西方的，他会临摹很多欧洲画家的作品用来学习。这不也是西方知识与艺术在中国根植的一个很小的侧面吗？我认为加强文化交流可以使我们这个多元文化的世界多一份理解，多一份理解就多一份包容，多一份包容就少一份冲突。这也是文明的进步，从本质上体现于慈善对生命意义的认识与尊重。我们共同生活在一个地球，我们感受着同一个太阳的光明与温暖。我期待着我们共同的慈善事业可以更多更广的做一些促进文化交流的事情，更好的发挥慈善在教育、知识与艺术中的作用，加深彼此了解，包容彼此差异，丰富彼此情感，化解彼此争端，如同太阳没有任何差异的照耀每一个生命。慈善是人类爱的体现，也是我们做慈善的意义所在。谢谢大家。
Thank you very much, Mr. Shen Qing. And now I have the great pleasure to introduce Madame Marie-France Marchand-Bellet, who is president of the group Dépêche. Here again, we are faced with a foundation that promotes knowledge throughout the education of young people, especially students from the south of France. I do believe that in a globalized world, it is essential that each territory contributes with its own capital of knowledge to enrich the whole. Madame Marchand, you have the floor.
Good morning, everyone. I am Marie-France Marchand-Bellet, President of the Groupe Dépêche Foundation. I would like to thank David Gosset for inviting me to this event that I'm much honored to be part of to talk about the work that my foundation is doing in education. It's a great pleasure for me to expose to you how we have a positive impact on our territory through programs aimed at students. To present briefly the Dépêche Group, it's the second biggest French regional press group, with 400,000 newspapers printed daily in the southwest of France. We also have a major digital strength, with 150 million web visitors per month. Our newspaper was supported by Victor Hugo, and some of the most brilliant intellectuals wrote in it, like Jean Jaurès or Albert Einstein. Such great personalities make us responsible to promote and share ideas like tolerance and human values. It is one of the oldest newspapers in France, since we celebrate in 150th birthday in 2020, and it is a familial and independent group. The foundation was created in 2008, and it was the first enterprise foundation originating from a daily press group in France with a social and educative purpose. We work in order to help the young people who struggle to have access to great opportunities in life because of their financial, social, or cultural research. The work of our foundation is based on the values promoted by our group, and most importantly, it's to give the youth equal opportunities in their life. This starts with education, since not every student is having the same research and support depending on the family they come from. It all started when I realized that some of my child's friends when they were students, were struggling to find internships. They didn't have any network, neither do their families. It was difficult for them to reach businesses that were willing to hire them as interns. Being able to reach a professional network is a big plus for you, young people who are starting their professional life. That's why I thought that I could make them benefit from mine. We started the scholarship program in 2008 by promoting it to the national education structure linked to regional representative of our government. Since then, it never stopped getting more and more known each year, and it's a real success. We are looking for great students, the one with a strong willing to succeed at school, who sometimes misses just a little help to be more comfortable in their personal life, and then be more able to focus on studying. Each year, we give 250 students the financial and educational support they need to succeed in their studies, and during 5 years. We give them a tutor that follows and helps them in every question they may have during their study. We also support them to find internship in some of the best structure for their formation. By helping these young people, the value of solidarity and giving back to society are perpetuated, since they represent our world and nation's future. Since the beginning of the global pandemic, we noticed that the students were one of the populations that suffer the most, and we are doing our best to make life a bit easier for the one we are helping. The economic research of a family should not condemn the dream of a young person, especially if it's a talented and hard-working one, just in need of a helping hand. The Foundation also contributes in the education fields by organizing an eloquence contest on a thematic linked to the human rights that take place in the high school of our region. We work hand by hand with very committed teachers who help us make these programs the success they have. In France today, according to a Fondation de France study, the foundation created in 1969 by the Minister of Culture André Malraux, there are more than 4,000 funds and foundations that spend 7.5 billion euros per year for general interest. In 2020, most of the French foundations increased by 34% their spending, a sign that they were major actors to help many sectors during the pandemic. The work of foundation is then essential. We help sectors often strongly affected by the crisis: education, health, culture, essential part of our society that need to be supported and recognizing, especially during those tough moments that were faced and still are facing. We work with many other foundations to welcome our students and promote their work through our articles to make them known to the public that might be interested in their program. To conclude, I would like to say that it's an honor to help young people to realize themselves and fulfill their dreams, and that philanthropy is essential for companies that have a social and societal responsibility. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madame Marchand. And now I have the pleasure to introduce Mr. Alexander Broz, who is President, Executive Director, and CEO of the Tianjin Juilliard School. And he was the Vice President for Development at the Aspen Music Festival and School in Colorado. Music is one of the fundamental tools that make it possible to find a language common to all peoples. From this point of view, it is the magic key that allows you to unite Earth around the concept of beauty. Mr. Broz, the floor is yours.
Hi, everybody. I'm Alexander Brose, and I'm the Executive Director and CEO of the Tianjin Juilliard School. I'd like to thank co-organizers, the China, Europe, America Global Initiative and the Belgian Chinese Chamber of Commerce for their invitation to participate today. It is a great honor to be in the company, albeit remotely, of so many important leaders, visionaries, philanthropists, educators, and administrators, and to contribute in even just a small way to such a crucial conversation regarding philanthropy, which at its core is the most humanistic attempt to make the world a more livable place for all. There seem to be innumerable challenges facing the world today, from violent conflicts to hunger, a climate crisis, and oh yeah, a global pandemic. It seems almost insensitive to be speaking about philanthropy as it relates to the arts and to education, and yet both are essential to humanity. Neither should ever be considered luxuries, nor should there ever be barriers prohibiting anyone from having access to beauty or knowledge. As the Executive Director and CEO of the Tianjin Juilliard School, which is the famed Juilliard School in New York's first and only branch campus, I have seen over and over and over again the sheer power of music. I hope all of us appreciates music for what it is. It is a way to communicate and to express ideas that perhaps can only be expressed through artistry and song. Music is a unifier, something that can bring people together in times of disagreement and conflict. Classical music, as it has been and will continue to be, indeed, is a most powerful cultural bridge that holds the ability to connect us in ways that even face-to-face communications cannot. I know that all of us here have a deep appreciation for China, not only for its unparalleled economic transformation over the last nearly half-century, but also more and more for its historical role in the development of great classical artists, composers, and conductors over that same time span. And for the central role it will most certainly continue to play in this regard in the many, many years to come. I've heard from many people, who say that the future of classical music depends on China, and I have to say that I 100% agree. As funding and audiences for orchestras in the West become increasingly hard to identify and to attract, it is quite the opposite experience in China. Today, there are now more than 80 professional orchestras spread throughout the country in cities both large and small. Most, if not all, perform in epic grand theaters, all of which have become veritable status symbols for the aspiring Chinese city. And as I have seen firsthand, attentive audiences are flocking to concerts, usually with young children in tow. I can't tell you how many times I've left a concert in Tianjin or Beijing or elsewhere late in the evening, only to see packs of young children and their parents, perhaps some of the estimated 40 million pianists in China, bounding out of the hall after having devoured a 2.5-hour-long program. And it is on this great excitement, support, and appreciation for classical music that the Tianjin Juilliard School was founded. Our programs, distinctly collaborative in nature and focusing on pre-collegiate and graduate school age musicians, in addition to far-reaching public and continuing education courses, look to provide educational and artistic opportunities that are complementary to the great schools and orchestras that exist already in China. But we also seek to be innovative at the same time. Our 3 graduate majors, for example, in collaboration with the Tianjin Conservatory of Music, have been designed to afford high-talent students the opportunity to study in programs that either do not exist or are not well developed in China. For example, collaborative pianists are experiencing curricular experiences that focus on both instrumental and vocal accompanying, the latter of which to fill the great demand for experienced opera coaches in the country's new opera houses. String players and pianists receive degrees in chamber music itself, and we have seen both pre-formed and string quartets and piano trios, as well as solo individual players applying to receive focused training in chamber music from masters. And finally, orchestra musicians are receiving training in orchestral performance rather than in individual instruments to better prepare them for the rigors of life in professional orchestras in China and beyond. And since we are Juilliard, that carries with it a great sense of responsibility to develop artists as citizens and as leaders. All of our students, like they do in New York, receive an education that seeks to produce the well-rounded musician, one who will use their talents to serve the greater good as a citizen of arts and society. We do not want graduates who simply stand up at the top of a mountain and expect the audience to come to them. We want our graduates to come down from the mountain, to immerse themselves in their communities, and to use music, as we discussed before, to communicate, collaborate, and to unify. We view the Tianjin Juilliard School as a cultural bridge, not just between China and the United States, but between China and the world. And our Chinese students and faculty already represent over 20 provinces and regions, while our international community, students and staff and faculty, represent 12 different countries. We see our incredible new campus in Binhai as a veritable embassy of sorts, not representing one location, but one idea, that the arts bring us together and that music is the ultimate diplomat. Now, none of this would have been possible without the initial financial support in the form of construction and operating costs from our various partners in China. And we would not be here today without the city of Tianjin, the Binhai New Area, and of course, TIDA. However, we cannot rely on this funding in perpetuity. And as a result, and like most cultural organizations in the West, we've created a comprehensive development operation replete with a non-public foundation named the Tianjin Juilliard School of Music Education Foundation to begin raising money to support the school, mostly in the form of tuition scholarships as well as other faculty and programmatic development. In our opinion, a gift to the Tianjin Juilliard School does not represent or support just a gift to the arts. It signifies a desire to support the great city of Tianjin, the great country of China, the spirit of collaboration and dialogue, and the future of relationships really worldwide. It has been an honor to introduce our programs to you here today. It would be wonderful to meet you all in person at one of the many concerts that we have either in Tianjin or throughout China soon. Thank you very much.
Thank you to you, Mr. Brose. And now I have the honor to introduce the last speaker of the first session, Mrs. Cecily Liu, who is Managing Director of the project of the Teach Rural Schools program at Visionary Education, a China-based charity founded in 2008. As an archaeologist of proto-history, I know very well that humanity developed from rural areas, and the wisdom of the rural people still has much to teach us. For our part, we must contribute to opening up the rural people to the complexity of today's world. Mrs. Cecily Liu, you have the floor.
Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, it is absolutely my honor to attend and speak at the first international dialogue of the China-Europe-America Philanthropy Cooperation Initiative, which I truly believe is an impactful platform to foster collaboration and shape our shared future. My name is Cecily Liu. I'm the Managing Director of Visionary Education, an all-volunteer-run project supervised by the China Association for NGO Cooperation. Through our 13 years of history, we have empowered the lives of tens of thousands of rural children. And today, it is absolutely my pleasure to share with you our experiences at Visionary Education and the power of vision and enlightenment in supporting two critical sustainable development goals: zero poverty and quality education. Visionary Education was founded in the aftermath of the Sichuan earthquake in 2008, with a mission to empower rural schools to strengthen their education quality, creativity, and transformative capacity. Over the course of 13 years, and through the joint effort of over 200 volunteers and a network of over 100 renowned academic and industry experts, we have successfully given leadership training to more than 200 rural principals and delivered summer camp program to many more rural children. As testimony to the success of our rural principals leadership work, last year, over 50 rural principals from our network co-authored the book, Leveling Mountain High Gaps, Lessons from China's Rural Educators. In this thought-provoking book, our rural principals demonstrated their courageous vision and frontline experiences, turning many challenges in remote and underdeveloped parts of China where their schools are located into opportunities for rethinking the future of education. Challenges and issues addressed by these stories include helping the left-behind children of migrant workers, recruiting and retaining qualified staff, and updating outdated pedagogy. And they examine such solutions as engaging migrant parents and caretaking relatives, offer emotional and material incentives for instructors, and innovation. We are so proud of our principals' achievements in their respective schools, and these achievements have collectively contributed significantly to China's declaration of the elimination of absolute poverty nationwide in 2020. But the impact of our rural principals' wisdom does not stop there. Instead, these first-hand accounts have the potential to inspire a global audience. As the English version of this book is to be published in 2022 with special endorsement and support from the renowned British sociologist, Professor Martin Albrow, who is famous for his prominent writing exploring globalization and collaboration to shape our shared human future. A theme absolutely coherent with that of our dialogue today. In addition to delivering leadership training for rural principals, visionary education also connects young volunteers with rural children through creative summer camps, with a diverse and fun curriculum consisting of English lessons, music, art, sports, dance, and storytelling. Our summer camps enlighten rural children to deliver their respective talents. It is through these precious human links built between our volunteers and rural children, and through the acts of kindness and love by our network of Chinese and international volunteers, that many rural children have discovered new worlds beyond their remote surroundings and become more confident in embracing their own dreams. Today, we live in a world with increasing unpredictability across all aspects of society. In the education sector, we have seen the spread of COVID-19 pandemic across the globe, triggering the majority of countries announcing temporary closure of schools in 2020, impacting more than 91% of students worldwide. Online education has hit children at the bottom of socio-economic ladder the hardest and created additional inequality challenges. What will the future education landscape look like? How do we ensure equitable access to education resources? And how do we ensure that quality education continues to play a significant multiplier and catalyst role for the accomplishment of many other sustainable development goals? These are the important questions that we at Visionary Education would love to explore jointly with partners internationally through the China-Europe-America Philanthropy Initiative. Because we believe in the transformative and regenerative quality of education and its power to enhance the development of inclusive societies. Thank you.
Thank you to you, Mrs. Liu. And I must thank all the speakers of the first session. It has been a great honor for me to chair this first session of the program Philanthropy for Education, Knowledge and Arts. Thank you very much to all.
Thank you very much, Professor Louis Godard, for this wonderful moment with you, and thanks to Xuyong Guang and Project Hope China. It's really what this project is doing is absolutely fundamental. It was a great pleasure to have with us Dinah Bracco, Joanne McEntee, Mr. Senting. Your presence for us is a great honor because you have pronounced the name of Premier Zhou Enlai, and it means a lot, not only in China, Mr. Senting, but for the world at large. A man of peace. It was very nice and important to go to France and to listen to Marie-France Marchand-Bellet, and to go then to the United States of America with Alexander Brose. And I was very moved by what he said about music, and to go to London to listen to Cecily Liu. And thank you very much, Miss Liu, for what you are doing. Myself, I have been teaching at Visionary Education, and I have to tell you that I have been taught by those I was supposed to teach to. So it was a very rich experience. Before I give the floor to Professor William Wang and to explore with him philanthropy for the planet, we will have a very short interlude of 1 minute because all of us, we love philanthropy and we love beauty, and for us music matters. And you have seen that again and again, we were accompanied by the 7th Symphony of Beethoven. By the way, we have chosen Beethoven because the 7th Symphony premiere was in 1813, but it was for a charity dinner. So there is a connection between the 7th Symphony and today's event. But we wanted to listen to the beautiful music of Miss Kong Ti. And Miss Kong Ti is going to play for us lofty mountains and flowing water, clearly a piece about nature. And this is going to be our transition from education to the planet. Let us listen to Kong Ti, and then Professor Wang, you will have the floor.
Hi, dear David Gosset, distinguished speakers and guests. It's my great honor to host this session about philanthropy for the planet. Yamlong Business School is also proud to be the knowledge strategic partner for the China-Europe-America Philanthropy Cooperation Initiative. If our memories are still fresh, we can recall the catastrophic climate change just happened during this summer in different continents, including drought, in Eastern Europe and Siberia, driven by record heat waves in June, drought in Vietnam in July, flooding in central China, Germany, UK, Switzerland in July, as well as flooding in Ghana, South Sudan in August, then the wildfires in California in August, among the others. So in the past decades, in fact, significant research has been conducted on the environmental impact, climate change, and biodiversity. And today, during this session, we try to invite representatives from philanthropy organizations, institutions, including art industry, corporate, and business schools, to jointly share their thoughts and best practices. We are all mobilized to make a harmony between the welfare of human beings and the life-giving lands, lakes, rivers, and a huge diversity of species on the planet. So our first guest is Mr. Chen Shuping. He is the founder of China Shenzhen Handle Climate Change Film Festival. Mr. Chen, in September 2015, your first Handle Climate Change Film Festival was held. The film festival collected over 1,400 works from 93 countries and the regions. And you have also participated United Nations climate conferences 4 times to convey the environmental protection efforts by Chinese NGOs. So please share with us about the current development of your festival and the impacts have been created, Mr. Chen.
感谢这个各位先生的指导，各位专家。我是中国深圳市航都文化的董事长，深圳市标新科普研究院理事长，中国深圳国际气候影视大会的创始人。非常荣幸受邀参加本次的论坛。作为国际社会普遍关心的重大全球性的问题，气候变化不仅是生态环境的问题，归根到底是发展的问题。我国党和政府大力推进生态文明的建设，推动绿色循环低碳发展，把应对气候变化融入到国家经济社会发展中的长期规划。在这样的大背景下，向大众科普气候变化知识势在必行。航都文化作为一家以绿色环保理念为指引，以影视为载体，坚持绿色产业经营理念的有社会责任的企业，与时俱进，借助现代传媒的技术，利用影视作品的信息量大、富有形象性，以及与多平台无缝对接等各方面的优势，将气候变化的知识与影视形式来相结合。在2015年成功发起了国内首个应对气候变化为主题的公益科普影视活动——中国深圳国际气候影视大会。我们至今已经办了5届。大会是在中国科学技术协会、深圳市人民政府的支持下，由生态环境部应对气候变化司和中国气象局科技与气候变化司的指导，并联合国内众多的高校，由我们航都文化发起并承办的。大会致力于对中国观众呈现来自全球优秀绿色影视作品，鼓励中国的影视制作者参与到绿色影视制作中来，将中国的绿色故事展示给世界。作为大会发起人与承办方，我们不断的探索，希望大会能吸引更多的人关注到绿色影视，了解气候变化，加入到低碳的环保行动中来。我们通过设立了专业论坛、影视作品的评优、公益展映、科普讲座、青少年气候题材的 影视作品的培训和联合国气候变化大会的平台的推广6个板块，多形式的传播气候变化知识和绿色低碳的理念。5届大会，我们更邀请来自政府、企业、NGO、高校、媒体、科研机构的专家学者近200多名，开展了主题论坛有14场，主题涉及到可持续发展、绿色金融、气候变化与传播、环境、企业的责任等多个方面。5届大会共征集了130多个国家和地区的7000多部影视作品，从中评选出了60多部优秀的获奖作品。几年来，在院线、书店以及深圳的各个社区开展了就开展了200多场1场的公益展映，观众的人数呢达到了30万余人，邀请气候变化领域的学者专家进社区、进学校，对公众进行了免费的科普知识的讲座达40场，覆盖人数20万人次。另外，大会组委会还结合了相关的专家和智慧，制定了中国第一份绿色影视创意书。创意书旨在提高影视从业者的绿色低碳意识，提倡减少影视作品的碳足迹，鼓励影视作品积极关注环境议题。未来，我们将与政府的部门、媒体跟更多的绿色影视行业的合作伙伴，共同遵循并推动绿色影视倡议的准则，使其成为行业的标准。为了办好大会，我们还积极开展世界气象日、世界环境日、全国低碳日、全国科普日等重要的10点的宣传活动。因为我们知道生态文明建设公代当代，利在千秋。我们需要为保护生态环境做出我们这一代的努力。我们还将不断的探索创新科普宣传的形式，开展更多丰富有趣的科普活动，让更多的人参与进来，让更多的中国绿色故事让世界看到。最后，欢迎各位专家参加我们今年在中国深圳举办的第6届国际气候影视大会。谢谢大家。
Thanks, Mr. Chen, for your, significant effort on the promotion of emission reduction, decarbonization, and carbon neutrality, with a mobilization of artists, the impact on the film industry, and the influence on the mass. And I think that those are really the key words that we need continue to discuss. As for example, certain study has demonstrated China's energy consumption per unit of GDP is 1.3 times of the world average. So if we reduce from 1.3 times to the world average level, it means that for the same GDP growth, we can save 1 billion tons of standard coal per year, right? So that is why I would like to invite the second speaker, Mr. Frank Wang. You are the Secretary General of China Neutrality Forum, Executive Director of CSC Foundations and the Vice President of CCC EU. So, Mr. Wang, the China Neutrality Forum was established by this May. So, what is the objective of on the creation of this forum, and what is the plan for the future development? The floor is yours, Mr. Wang.
Dear David, dear Professor Wang, it's our great pleasure to be part of the initiative and to do something good for our planet. 感谢高大伟教授邀请我们加入中欧美慈善合作倡议，非常荣幸参加此次会议。那在此呢，我跟大家分享一下我们在节能环保和碳中和领域做的一些具体工作。北京华软科技发展基金会呢，是在2015年成立以后呢，主要就是秉承着促进科学技术和科研教育，致力于推动可持续发展的宗旨。在生态环境领域中呢，我们致力发展可持续发展和生物多样性，推动绿色低碳。其中我们资助了中国最大的污染排放实时监控平台蔚蓝地图，同时也参与了濒危物种与阿拉善基金会、胡树林基金会、壹基金等一起进行了很多公益捐赠。诚如这个咱们合作倡议所言，中欧美三方是世界的3大力量。那我本人呢，作为欧盟中国商会的副会长和成员国商会的负责人，从疫情以后呢，也参与到了中国、欧盟各国之间的双向捐助工作。同时呢，也在2020年中呢，参与了很多中欧之间的商业会谈和商业组织活动。特别是在2020年9月初，我们组织了一系列的中欧商业高层会谈。为呢2020年9月14日，由中国国家主席习近平与这个欧盟领导人米歇尔·冯德莱恩以及德国领导人默克尔举行的双边会谈，做了一些前期铺垫工作。在9月14日的这个中德欧领导人峰会上，习近平主席与欧盟与德国领导人就正式达成了something.
No, it's fine.
Okay, shall I go on?
Yes, please.
Okay. 习近平主席呢与这个欧盟和德国领导人达成了这个中欧绿色合作伙伴关系和数字合作关系的大方向。从长远看呢，觉得中欧之间有着巨大的在人类共同福祉的问题上许多相近的想法。特别是对于巴黎协定是在欧盟的这个主导下。中美双方共同配合，为人类共同实现可持续发展，支持防止全球气候变化和环境污染做了很多工作。那随后呢，在9月22号的这个第75届这个联合国大会上，那习近平主席呢就第一次提出了3060碳达峰和碳中和的承诺。那在今年4月份的这个气候领导人峰会、气候雄鹰峰会上。中国主席习近平呢就进一步加强了表示出近年来气候变化、生物多样性的丧失、荒漠化的加剧、极端气候的频发，给人类生存和发展带来了严峻的挑战。面对这种全球治理所未有的困难，那中国呢已将这个生态文明理念和生态文明建设纳入了中国的整体布局，希望呢力争在2030年实现碳达峰，2060年前实现碳中和。这是中国基于构建人类命运共同体的责任和担当，和实现可持续发展的内在需求做出的重大决策。那基于此，那恰逢呢清华大学110周年校庆，那我们在2021年4月起开始筹建，于2021年5月8日正式呢由清华大学全球共同发展研究院、生态环境部的环境规划院。以及华夏新供给经济学研究院以及我们华软科技发展基金会正式发起了中国碳中和50人论坛，于5月8日在清华大学成立，致力于通过学术与智慧的商业实践，通过推动中国3060碳达峰、碳中和的计划，助力于社会的可持续发展。据此呢，我们积极响应和配合了中国政府以及世界各国。环境保护的低碳承诺，以企业的行动和实际行为来支持中国低碳承诺的发展。中国碳中和50人论坛汇集了中国生态环保界、气候变化界、产学研界和能源环境界的这个顶级学者和这个技术专家。那我们努力呢推动政府部门、科研院所完成绿色低碳体系和市场化的机制，加强科技攻关的力度。共同推动绿色低碳技术的重大突破，同时通过企业家精神的以商业实践，致力于以市场化的形式 为中国达成3060碳达峰碳中和目标的尽一份自己的力量。我们也努力发挥环保公益组织的专业力量，加强生态保护修复，提升生态系统碳汇能力，推动全民节约，营造绿色低碳的新风尚。所以在此呢，我也倡议与会的慈善界同仁与我们一起共同以中国碳中和50人论坛的平台，共同推动中国3060碳达峰碳中和，以及巴黎协定和即将召开的格拉斯哥气候峰会上，为人类我们共同的地球、共同的星球、共同维护可持续发展、面向地球的环保事业尽一份力。好，谢谢。Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Mr. Frank Wong. In less than 7 minutes, you have clearly exposed that the China Neutrality Forum is going beyond as a forum, while it is a network by associating experts and opinion leaders, business people from different fields. And in particular, the connectivity between China and Europe and the bilateral donations and the projects are important driving forces that you are leading. And I think that you know, between China and Europe, this type of exchange will definitely boost the objective of 2030 by reaching the carbon peak, and by 2060 reach the carbon neutrality. That is why our next speaker is also very important, because corporate is one of the important stakeholders to link the philanthropy and the environmental protection. Now let's welcome James Ng. He is the Great China Vice President for Sustainability and General Manager of Social Business from Danone. While he, at the same time, he is also the DBA candidate at Yale Business School. James will share with us very interesting topic on the linkage between ESG and the philanthropy. Mr. James Ng, the floor is yours. James? Is James there? Hello?
Can you hear me?
Yes, please.
Yeah. Thank you, Professor Wang, and also David, for this invitation. So for my role is the head of sustainability for Danone in China. And at the same time, I'm also heading the social business, which is an innovative model that we set up 9 years ago with Professor Yunus to help improve the kids in terms of anemia and also slow growth. So it is a social enterprise. It's a new social innovation model where we work together with the CDC of China. So today I would like to share a little bit the background about Danone globally and also China in planet. So for Danone is a Fortune 500 companies in the foods and beverages. So we have a lot of famous brands, including like Aptamil, brands like Evian. Yeah. So many of you do not aware that this is a carbon neutral product. So we obtain carbon neutrality for Evian scope 1, 2, 3 last year globally. So so Danone has been pursuing this for more than 30 years for Evian. So a lot of people is asking, how come Danone going so fast? Actually, for Danone, I think one of the reason is we stretch further on this is beyond marketing or PR. So we make one planet, one health as our company vision, and then we pick the SDG of United Nations as our goals for our general managers. So we set clear targets for achieving those social and environmental targets, and also then at the same time we are validated by certification by, for instance, Morgan Stanley Capital International. In the ESG index, for instance, we are rated 3A. And then in terms of CDP, Carbon Disclosure Projects, we are one of the very few company accredited A for forest, water conservation, and also carbon emissions. So I think globally, I think it's quite clear that we embed it into part of our vision and value for the companies. So, and also we build it as our brand model and also business model, and at the same time as trust model, where we work with the public, NGOs, universities to work together. Because social and environmental issue is a very complex issue. A company alone is not able to handle it. So for China, Danone entered China more than 30 years. So today, China is the second largest for Danone. So, so besides business impact for China, we also put equal footings on social and environmental impact. That's the reason why we set up the social business with Professor Yunus for 9 years. And at the same time, we have been tracking carbon footprint in China for more than 13 years. So, so that was very early. And then we are planning to have all our plants in China to use green energy by 2025. So our first carbon neutral factory will be ready next year. So we have 2 factories as our candidates. So, and then we hope before 2030, all our factories in China are certified as carbon neutral. So the other front that we are working on is the water conservation. So globally, for area that we find stress of water, we reduce our water intensity consumption by 50% by 2030. So this is the water conservation part. So in terms of packaging, in China, all our Maison product is a local brand, already use 100% recycled or recyclable or compostable material since end of last year. And then we are working on very hard. We are supporting the local government to explore the use of food grade recycled material in China. At this moment, food grade packaging is banned in China for food safety reasons. But globally, we have been working on this for many years. For instance, today, 1/3 of Evian packaging worldwide, excluding China, are using recycled plastics. So it is a bottle-to-bottle kind of full loop solutions, which is very important. I think a lot of people is saying that why not we are recycling, make t-shirts, etc. The question is, it is a 500 years issue. If you make a t-shirt or shoes, you may only reduce 20 years. Later on, it will still go back to landfill. So it's not a full loop solution. So for Danone, we believe the whole solution should be almost like a reusable. So you use back all your material so that you do not create burden to the earth. So for Evian, despite the brand already achieved carbon neutrality worldwide last year, the brand is targeting to be 100% using recyclable plastic by 2025. So it is a rather ambitious project worldwide. And then for China, we are also bringing a lot of our knowledge, technology to share with the authority, because there are a lot of concern about food safety and all this. And then we are sharing our best practice in this area. So in terms of waste, solid waste, we started zero landfills some years ago. And then good news is that we have all our Maison plants in China, 8 plants, certified as a zero landfill by end of last year. So I think for us, we hope to continue to push forward for China being our important market. At the same time also, we want to have equal impact as compared to our business impact, and also to reflect Danone China's position in Danone Group being the second largest market. And also, we also hope to be an important partner to the government to achieve all the government agenda of common prosperity, beautiful China, healthy China, rural revitalizations. So we are localizing our global experience into a very Chinese-centric, local-centric approach. So that's the sharing from my side. Thank you.
Thank you very much, James. Starting with a live case about Evian, you clearly demonstrate that Danone is in a global leading positioning about environmental protection. We can imagine that huge investment in terms of the capitals or technology and the human resources have been conducted. And reaching carbon neutral factory by 2030 is also amazing to see your pace of reaching such kind of a significant milestone. We do feel, according to our survey, that in China there is also the surging responsible consumers. So we do believe that those companies who engage in the environmental protection will become a competitive advantage for those brands. That topic naturally drives us to the following sharing by Leslie Mastrow. He is the Vice President and the CFO of New Development Bank. As what I see from his social network, his remark is that 2021 will be remembered as the year of ESG, went from niche to mainstream. It seems very clear today that the business titans of the future will be the ones who translate sustainability into a source of comparative advantage. Leslie, we would like to hear from you about your thoughts.
Thank you very much for having me, Professor Wang, and also to David Gossett for the foresight in putting this forum together. I believe that both in the area of whether it's development finance, in the cultural space, in the arts, in technology, these three powerful blocks of the United States, China and Europe have a critical role to play in providing global leadership, more so in the area of climate change, which I will speak to in a moment. So I'm very pleased to be part of a panel that is talking about philanthropy for the planet. 2021, as you have just correctly pointed out, is a very defining turning point, if you like, I think, in world history. As you know, starting with a number of countries in 2020, President Xi Jinping announced China's ambition to be carbon neutral by 2060 and to reach peak emissions by 2030 at the UN General Assembly last year in September or so. What we have seen subsequently are a number of corporations throughout various industries making similar pledges towards carbon neutrality. One of the major benefits of this movement towards net zero is that it is focusing the horizons and the lenses, both of business, of corporations, and also of philanthropists, towards the longer term. As you know, Professor Wang, essentially our system of production, the capitalist mode of accumulation in which we live, is very much driven to the short term. Companies report quarterly profits and look at annual profit returns. Governments have 4- and 5-year electoral cycles. Today, because of the commitments to net zero, companies take much longer term views and have to look at the next 20 to 30 years to ensure that their products, as we just heard from Danone, Evian, etc., will be net zero, because that is the requirement of the day. So what I'm saying in short is that this shift towards the low carbon future will also be manifested in the philanthropic world. The next key point that I would like to make is that there's been a number of trends in the philanthropy world which are very positive and that will continue to evolve. And as development banks we are also exploring what new creative forms of partnerships we could enter into with the philanthropic world, especially in the areas of technology, in education, in health, as well as climate change. But what I would like to highlight, though, is that one of the most fundamental changes happening in society also today is around the influence of millennials and influence of the younger generation. We haven't yet in the discussion now heard much about that. But I would argue that there's been a fundamental shift over the last 1 or 2 generations. In 1970, as you know, Milton Friedman, the famous economist, made a statement that the social responsibility of business is to increase profits. Very recently, the World Economic Forum did a survey of 5,000 millennials who, from 18 different countries, who stipulated that the top priority for business ought to be their role to improve society. So in just 50 years, we have seen a diametrically opposite view being expressed by young people. I believe that much greater awareness and consciousness of the longer term, of prosperity in the planet being seen as interconnected, this view of the millennials will fundamentally change society going forward. In short, there is huge potential to combine private enterprise together with philanthropy, which is really about the use of private resources for the public good. In short, I guess what I'm saying is that there's this blurring of the boundaries between business, the NGOs, philanthropy, the world of finance. This will continue, and more creative partnerships can be forged between these various partners. The New Development Bank, together with other development finance institutions, we operate at that cross-section between finance, if you like, and international development. And we believe that there can be great partnerships that we can form with some of these large philanthropic and small philanthropic organizations, because we see our role as crowding in, as mobilizing and bringing in more private capital into the world of development. We have seen, for example, with the giving pledge that Melinda and Bill Gates announced in 2010, large numbers of very wealthy families moving towards this pledge, towards giving half of their wealth away during their lifetimes. This, by the way, as you know, is a phenomenon that started way back with Andrew Carnegie, who's probably the most famous philanthropist of the previous century, who famously gave away about 90% of his wealth in his last years. In short, I'm very optimistic about the potential of philanthropy going mainstream and new forms of partnerships emerging between your traditional development finance world, philanthropy, and business. And all of this will be geared towards this new dedication towards designing a low carbon future. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Leslie. As you know, several speakers have mentioned that a new form or innovative forms of the collaboration between the corporate world, NGOs, governments, including technologies, will be the important trend in the near future. A very typical case is about this a new form of the organization that is called the social enterprise that James has been mentioned being created inside of Danone Group. Despite that we don't have the time to elaborate further, right? Now, lastly, let me invite Jessica Chen. She is the Assistant General Manager of Lui Chi Wu Prize. The Lui Chi Wu Prize is an international prize for world civilization. There are 3 prizes, namely the Sustainability Prize, Welfare Betterment Prize, and the Positive Energy Prize. Each awardee will receive a cash award of 20 million Hong Kong dollar, equivalent to around 2.56 million US dollar, a certificate and a trophy. Jessica, would you please share with us the general context of this prize and your sustainability prize in particular, as it is directly linking with this session about environmental impact. Jessica, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you, Professor Wong, Mr. Gauzet. It's a pleasure to meet you again and everybody here. I am presenting to you from Hong Kong, and I actually have prepared a PowerPoint to share a little bit about the work that we do. So the Le Chiwu Prize was set up actually by my grandfather in 2016, and I'm sorry, one second. So this is Dr. Le Chiwu, who is in his 90s currently and has had 70 years of work that has led him to establish a multinational conglomerate based in Hong Kong and southern of China. And along with as his business developed, so did his philanthropy, starting to giving from Hong Kong to maybe the Greater China. And as of 2015, he set up a prize that had the ambition to maybe looking at the complexities of the world to instill a little bit of positive energy and also momentum for organizations or any organizations and individual in the world to continue to motivate the work that they're doing. He's also my grandfather, and I joined the company 4 years ago. And it was also a great way for me to understand the values that he was trying to espouse through this prize, and trying to live it out, and also in an organized prize that I work on. So the prize that is the Le Chiwu Prize. It was established in 2015. It recognizes exemplary efforts to advance world civilization and inspires like-minded people to join hands in building a better world. And as Professor Wong mentioned, the prize comes out in, there are 3 prizes. The Sustainability Prize that focuses on this addressing the ecological balance of the planet, maintaining the planet's natural capital. The Welfare Betterment Prize that focuses on the livelihood and socioeconomic livelihood of people and of communities. And the last one is the Positive Energy Prize, which in a way is about stories of resilience, stories of resilience that in the face of immense adversities. We have had, in the past 4 years, we've recognized 12 laureates. And today I would like to focus a little bit about the process and how the prize is run, and a little bit on how the Sustainability Prize laureates have, how we've worked with them in the process. The selection process takes about 8 months for us to go through, where we go through as nominations. We then have the secretariat team then goes through the due diligence process. That we have a recommendation committee that looks through and shortlists, nominates some of the candidates, and the prize council that you see is then makes a final decision on the 3 laureates. The committee that you see have been with us for the last 5 years, and that they also come from Hong Kong, China, and are represented in Europe, North America, and South Asia as well. And I think that this also we try to live out to the mandate that we do try to position ourselves as an outward-looking an international prize. And yeah. So out of the 12 laureates that we've had, we've recognized in the Sustainability Prize in 2017, Xie Zhenhua, who is one of the key spokesperson for climate change, and one of the main diplomats that advanced the Paris Agreement that we have that is now a big blueprint for a lot of the climate action works that we are all addressing. In 2019, the Nature Conservancy is an international conservation organization that we've also recognized. And in the process of these two organizations being able to receive the prize recognition in Hong Kong and understanding a little bit of their work, actually, some of them have been able to find collaboration opportunities. In 2017, Xie Zhenhua used the prize money to set up at Tsinghua University an Institute of Climate Change and Sustainable Development, and using that as a platform to bring in different players across the science policy fields. And the Nature Conservancy in 2019, in addition to them using the cash prize to further some of their programs in different parts of in Asia, actually used some of the, brought back some of the capital to the Climate Change and Sustainable Development Institute as means to further dialogue, workshop learning on the basis of nature-based solutions. So it was also trying to align on the various different definitions that might have in addressing the very complex fields of climate change. And so we're very pleased that that there is a further collaboration in the prize laureates that we recognize, and that we hope that through this is also enabling us to build a broader network of people who are like-minded, and hope to continue to address the mandate that we hope of the different challenges we face currently. So this is us at the Le Chi Wu Prize based in Hong Kong. Look forward to meeting maybe some of you in person at some point, and we will. And it's a great pleasure to be able to share a little bit about the work and the process that we go through here at the Le Chi Wu Prize. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Jessica, and our great respect to Dr. Liu Chi-Wu and your significant work on the recognition of the word civilization. You see that the only regret for this session is that we have always limited the time. And also thanks for all the participants with a very perfect time control on your very dense information, clear expression, and information sharing. And as the moderator of this session 2, talking about philanthropy for the planet, we have to respect the timing, and I would like to say thank you for all. And it's the end of this session, and hope to one day, as Jessica mentioned, that we can get a face-to-face talk and dig each very interesting and important topic in a deeper and a profound way. Thank you.
Thank you,
David, I hand it to you.
Thank you very much, Professor, and thanks to your colleagues also and your school, EM Lyon, for being a knowledge strategic partner to today's event. It means a lot to us, Professor, what you are doing and what your school is doing. Ms. Jessica Chung, we know that the Lucerus Prize is a very important prize, and I personally believe that this idea of positive energy, what you call in Chinese 正能量, is something extremely important, and one needs to speak more about this prize internationally, and also to talk to young people about this prize. Thank you so much, Ms. Chung, for your support. We will go to the Festival of Mr. Chen Suping. This is a very innovative event, the Handel Climate Change Film Festival, and it's a very significant event, and with a very important role to play in terms of education about the issues around climate change. Mr. Frank, thank you so much for being with us and explaining us what Danone is doing in the field that we are discussing today. Of course, Mr. Wang, wonderful job with the China Neutrality Forum. And last but not least, Leslie Masdorp, who is talking about positive force. Well, Professor Louis Godard is the embodiment of culture, and talking about positive, constructive force, Mr. Leslie Masdorp is the embodiment of such a force. Thank you so much, Mr. Masdorp, for being with us again today. This is the end, Professor Wang, of this session. It was moderated wonderfully. And now we go to the last part of our afternoon, and we go to Belgium. It is so good to have Mr. Bernard Dewitt with us. And through you, Mr. Dewitt, I would like to thank the Belgium Chinese Chamber of Commerce to be the co-organizer of this event. And your chamber is playing a very important role to bridge, of course, Belgium and China, Europe and China, but you are a strong supporter of the China-Europe-America Global Initiative. And on behalf of all my colleagues, I would like to thank you, Mr. Bernard Dewitt, and to give you the floor to share a moment around philanthropy, not for education, not for the planet, but philanthropy for human health and well-being. The floor is yours, Mr. Bernard Dewitt.
Thank you very much, Professor Gosset. Thank you very much, dear David. And first of all, I would like to say all my thanks to you personally, because all this would not have been possible without your hard work for you and your team. It is thanks to your intellectual input that all the themes were developed. It is thanks to your input and the one of your team that such prestigious people, speakers are coming today. So all my congratulations to you and all my admiration to you for the work you are doing. Very positive work, and this is a word that we heard this morning very much, positive dialogue, and in the terms when we are sometimes in a little bit stormy weather, you are the captain keeping the boat on float, and I must say congratulations for that. You have proposed to deal with the third theme today, the theme of human health and wellness. I think human health is one of the oldest preoccupations in the world, in the history, of course. As soon as the man was on Earth, well, he was preoccupied to survive. He was preoccupied to survive in the best conditions possible. And this is the theme of today. Oldest preoccupation, but also very recent. We saw that with the COVID crisis, that health questions are very, very important. There are limits. There are limits to what the state can do, financial limits, limits of manpower, geographical limits. There are limits to what the private for-profit sector can do. The need, for instance, to get return on investment is there. And there comes philanthropy. Philanthropy to fill the gaps. The need to help to reduce social fracture, to improve the life of human beings left aside. There is also a way for public and private partnerships. And today, to deal with this last theme, we have some prestigious speakers, and I would like to introduce first Mrs. Liu Ying. Mrs. Liu is the Deputy Director of the Funding Department of the China Sun Qingling Foundation, and when we know the importance of Sun Qingling in the recent history of China, the widow of Sun Yat-sen, the Vice President of the People's Republic of China, a lady committed to the well-being of her population. We are very keen to listen to you, Mrs. Liu. Please take the floor.
尊敬的女士们、先生们、朋友们，大家好。首先我代表中国，请问听得清楚吗？
很好，听得很清楚，谢谢。
好的。首先我谨代表中国宋庆龄基金会向中欧美慈善合作倡议在线高级别会议的举行表示热烈的祝贺，也很高兴有机会就面向人类健康与福祉慈善事业这个主题与大家进行交流与探讨。慈善是人类共同的语言，在全球化的共同背景下，公益慈善对促进世界和平与稳定发展、构建人类命运共同体发挥着重要作用。中欧美慈善合作倡议的发起，对推进中欧美慈善事业合作与发展、促进公益实践和慈善理念的交流互鉴、相互启迪搭建了很好的平台。中国宋庆龄基金会是以中华人民共和国名誉主席宋庆龄的名字命名的。大家都知道，宋庆龄先生是20世纪最伟大的女性之一，她把毕生的精力献给了中国人民民主和社会主义建设事业，献给了世界和平和人类进步事业。1938年6月，她在香港发起组织了保卫中国同盟，致力于战时医药救济和儿童福利工作，在抗战抗日根据地建立起和平医院的医疗网，向全世界募集了医疗器械、药品、现款和其他的救援物资，并先后介绍和输送国际友人马海德斯诺、白求恩、柯蒂华等到抗日根据地进行工作。他还克服困难，举办义演、义卖、义赛等活动，筹集资金来援助难民、难童和贫困作家。宋庆龄的公益思想和实践既贯穿了中国传统仁爱道德，又体现了人道主义精神。其爱国主义和国际主义精神、大爱为民的情怀、社会福利理念，对于增进民生福祉、深化国际交流合作，至今仍有重要的启示和借鉴意义。中国宋庆龄基金会呢，是1982年成立的，成立至今始终秉持增进国际友好、维护世界和平、开展两岸统一、促进祖国两岸交流、促进祖国统一、关注民生、民族未来、发展少儿事业建会宗旨，紧跟时代步伐，坚持开门办会，不断在公益慈善领域积极的探索和实践。举个例子吧，2000年之后呢，中国宋庆龄基金会就持续的开展贫困大学生的奖助学项目，将大学生的奖助学项目和助力国家扶贫扶志行动相结合，与宋庆龄为国育人、缔造未来的理念相统一，与促进国际友好相融合。从2003年开始到现在，一共开展了33个大学生的奖助学项目，累计募集了资金4.33亿元，直接受益的学生也达到4.9万人次，覆盖全国200多所高校。在资助就学的同时，我们还注意引导和帮助受益的学生进行自我提升、自我管理，更积极主动地融入社会，参与社会活动，实现从受助到自助到助人的这样一个提升。近年来，中国宋庆龄基金会坚持精准方略，举办了以乡村振兴、美丽共享为主题的美丽乡村博鳌国际峰会，设立了女性幸福基金，通过在贵州等地开展苗绣培训，传承中国非遗文化，改善乡村妇女生活状况的同时，实现了经济效益、社会效益和文化效益的有机统一。另外，我们通过整合专家资源，整合3甲医院的优质资源，深入基层，开展共同的义诊、讲座、科室发展讨论等方式，为助力全面脱贫与乡村振兴，为提升基层医疗、教育水平而做出我们的努力。 不久前，在这个疫情期间哈，对中国宋庆龄基金会呢，在新冠疫情爆发之后，也通过携手很多的爱心企业捐款捐物，支持了国内的新冠疫情防控工作，也同时积极的助力国际的抗疫合作，向10多个国家捐赠了抗疫物资，促进民心相通，而且开展了爱心小包裹的公益项目，为身处疫情严重的68个国家和地区的海外侨胞和留学生送去了温暖。大家都知道，不久前呢，召开了中国的中央财经委员会第10次会议。会议上提出，在高质量发展中促进共同富裕，正确的处理效率和公平的关系，构建初次分配、再分配、3次分配、协调配套的基础性制度安排。这对于推动公益慈善事业的发展具有十分积极的作用。当前世界发展面临多重的挑战，也蕴含着重要的机遇。中国宋庆龄基金会也愿心怀人类的福祉，与更多国内外的朋友们促进交流融通、责任共担与协同合作，以开放包容的精神凝聚广泛力量，惠及更多人。谢谢大家。
Thank you very much, Mrs. Liu. Thank you for your words, and we really admire the work done by your foundation, and which is clearly in the spirit of Mrs. Sun Qingling, a great figure in China history. We will continue to follow what you are doing, and we see that you are also very active in various concrete and challenges that we are now all facing in the world with the COVID crisis. You play a role, your organization plays an important role, and we will continue to follow that. Thank you very much. I would like now to introduce Mr. Liu Xuanguo. Mr. Liu is the Vice Chairman of the Chinese Red Cross Foundation. He's also the Vice Dean of the International Academy of the Red Cross and Red Crescent. When we know also the role of the Red Cross in China, it is for us very interesting, very important to listen to Mr. Liu. Please take the floor.
主持人好，各位同仁好，很高兴有机会参加中欧美慈善合作倡议高级别的线上会议。为了更好的与大家分享，我的同事呢武斌制作了一个 PPT， 跟我在分享的同时，给大家呈现我们这些年中国红十字基金会在增进人类健康与福祉方面所做的一些工作。中国红十字基金会的使命是弘扬人道、博爱、奉献的红十字精神，致力于改善人的生存与发展境况，保护人的生命与健康，促进世界和平与社会进步。我从3个方面来介绍中国红十字基金会在增进人类健康与福祉领域开展的工作。一是积极践行人道使命，保护人的生命与健康。中国红基会成立20余年来，构建了以红十字天使计划、博爱助学计划为主体，覆盖人道救助、灾害救援、应急救护、红十字青少年、乡村振兴等内容的公益项目体系。截至2020年底，中国红十字基金会累计募集投入了资金80多亿元，资助了贫困大病患儿超过14万名，培训乡村医生、校医、儿科医生等基层医生超过26000名，援建博爱卫生站2600多所，景区红十字救护站274所，博爱家园237个，博爱学校377所，博爱校医室186所， 未来教室71所，捐赠红十字书库5000多套，赈济家庭箱17万多只，累计受益的人数超过5000万人。二是呼应国际人道的需求，助力人类健康与福祉。作为国际红十字运动的成员，中国红十字基金会依据国际人道急迫的需求，开展力所能及的国际援助。从2006年开始，中国红基会开始探索国际援助工作，参与过海地地震、菲律宾的海燕台风、尼泊尔的地震的援助。国际人道援助累计的公益投入超过2.65亿元。2017年，为践行习近平总书记构建人类命运共同体思想，配合国家“一带一路”的建设倡议，中国红十字会总会提出了红十字与“一带一路”同行的构想。中国红基会成立了丝路博爱基金，累计募集资金6000多万元，已经在亚洲、非洲等26个国家开展了国际人道援助项目。在巴基斯坦，我们开展了中巴急救走廊项目。2017年5月，在瓜达尔港建成了中巴博爱医疗急救中心，先后派驻4批红十字援外医疗队，为瓜达尔老百姓和港口工作人员提供免费的医疗服务。在阿富汗和蒙古国开展了天使之旅“一带一路”的人道救助计划。2017年8月以来，中国红十字援外医疗队先后8次前往阿富汗、蒙古国，开展先心病患儿的筛查救治工作，将300多名患儿陆续转运到中国接受免费的治疗。此外，还为300多名蒙古国的白内障的患者免费提供治疗。在叙利亚和伊拉克，中国红基会援助了2套大型多功能的急救医疗单元，每套移动单元有2辆医疗大巴车、2辆救护车组成，可提供基本的诊疗、手术、体检、医疗转运等综合性的卫生服务。同时，还为叙利亚2个儿童假肢中心提供援助。在非洲和东南亚，中国红基会协同中国社会福利基金会等组织开展海外博爱家园项目和儿童免费午餐项目，在埃塞俄比亚、乌干达、尼泊尔等援建了海外博爱家园6个，共有3万多人受益。在肯尼亚、乌干达、埃塞俄比亚等8个国家开展了儿童免费午餐项目，共有1.8万多名学生受益。中国红基会还与红十字与红新月国际联合会合作，开展博爱单车全球志愿服务行动，为全球的红十字志愿者捐赠博爱单车，发挥其在人道救助、应急救护等方面的作用。截止到2021年的6月，项目已经为马来西亚、蒙古、意大利等12个国家捐赠了5000多辆博爱单车。此外，中国红基会还在孟加拉国援建了中孟博爱血液透析中心，在印度尼西亚援建了红十字血站医疗急救中心，在缅甸援建了医疗急救中心，为柬埔寨、老挝援助了救护车等项目。3是参与自然灾害及新冠疫情的救助，努力应对人道的新挑战。红十字与红新月国际联合会2030的战略中指出，红十字运动成员要积极应对传染性疾病、自然灾害、气候变化等给全球人道事业带来的挑战。中国红基会在实践中不但提升灾害和重大疫情响应速度与能力。2020年，新冠肺炎疫情席卷全球，中国红基会紧急启动抗疫救助行动，共募集社会捐赠款物20多亿元，其中抗疫国际人道援助基金 累计募集的款物1.99亿元。在中国红十字会的统一领导下，我们向意大利、伊朗、伊拉克等52个国家提供了疫苗、防护用品、医疗器械、设备等方面的援助，这些援助还在进行当中。今年的7月，荷兰遭受特大暴雨，中国红十字会迅速响应，募集社会捐赠款物4个多亿元，为受灾家庭提供了48000多只赈济家庭箱，设立了援狱救援队的保障项目，资助了236个救援队开展抢险救援，组建了红十字消杀治安服务队开展防御消杀，捐赠了100辆应急救护车、5辆应急送行车等医疗设备，助力当地医疗机构复工复医，援助了鹤壁市19所学校开展灾后清淤、防御消杀、校园设施修缮等工作。红十字运动的使命是努力减轻人类苦难，保护人的生命与健康。中国红十字基金会希望与所有支持人道慈善事业的人士和机构建立联系。我们还参与创办了红十字国际学院，希望广泛开展合作，携手推动人类健康与福祉，促进全球人道事业的发展。谢谢大家。
好，刘先生，非常感谢，好像我们的朋友在比利时，他的网络不太理想哈，但是我代表我们所有的人感谢您的精彩的演讲，而且你们做的工作真的是令人非常佩服。Maybe Bernard, you are back. You had a problem with the internet connection. Is that better now, Bernard? Or maybe you fix the problem and we go to the next.
现在挺好的了。
We go. 非常感谢刘先生，非常感谢，很抱歉这个网络的问题 ，but we are waiting for Mr. Dewitt to repair, to fix the problem, if I may say, and we invite David Roth, Board of Trustees of the China Europe America Global Initiative, and we will have therefore a perspective, American perspective, on the issue that we are debating, and I think Bernard will come back to us. 非常感谢刘先生。
Greetings once again. Soon, hopefully, we will all be able to be together for one of these extraordinary conversations. But again, now I am honored to be virtually with you to discuss a subject that is extraordinarily dear to my heart and important to each of us: philanthropy. Philanthropy is truly what helps bind us all together as humans, whether we are in Shanghai or in New York or in Paris or in Morocco or anywhere else on earth. The true focus of philanthropy and the meaning, the definitions of philanthropy relate to what it is that we can do as individuals to take care of others. Every religious tradition focuses significantly upon philanthropy. It doesn't matter whether you read the Bible or the Torah or the Quran or any other religious text. There is so much, so many of the guiding principles relate to giving. Giving of your time, giving of your resources, giving of your energies, giving of your money to others. That is what philanthropy is about, and in many ways, global philanthropy helps to solve some of the problems that have been perennial in our world and that have not been able to be solved by governments or corporations or other organizations, because truly there is no profit motive in philanthropy. Philanthropy is about what we can do, each of us, individually, me here, you, as you gather to listen to this wherever you are, what can you do to take care of someone else, or a group of other people, or a school, or a museum, or a university, or a healthcare center? What can you do? What can you give? And each of us, I believe, on a daily basis, must be able to answer that question profoundly. What am I able to give? Not necessarily what am I happily always willing to give, but what am I able to give? In fact, as many of you, I'm sure, know, Aristotle wrote about philanthropy in terms of true altruism. Altruism doesn't want any benefit. Altruism doesn't want any credit. The true altruist does for others because he or she is driven to do that. Now, clearly, in our world, there are benefits that come from philanthropy, whether it is in terms of reputation, or in terms of tax credits, or in terms of multiple other ways that people can benefit, and that is good and that is fine. But at its heart, the philanthropic endeavor, and why we are all here today, is to talk about what we can each do more than we have been doing to solve those problems that have not been solved, but that need and deserve solving. So thanks again for coming together today to talk about something so important. I applaud all the work you're doing, and again, look forward to being with you in person soon. But for now, thanks again. Have a great day.
Thank you very much to David. David Gosset, do you hear me well now?
Yes, perfect.
Okay. I'm sorry.
Technical problem. Thank you so much. All good.
Okay, thank you. I would like now to give the word to Mr. Maurizio Petta. Mr. Petta is the chairman of the Isabella Sevagnoli Foundation. They are very active also in the healthcare sector with very concrete projects, and I think it's of utmost interest to listen to him. Mr. Petta, please take the floor.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for the invitation to participate to the speech. We live in a social era so characterized by the innovative impact of technologies, and therefore we may have through them the opportunity to build initiatives capable of bringing added value to a larger portion of the population that until now was excluded due to the lack of access to the same products of innovation. In this scenario, we believe that the world of philanthropy has the duty to adopt every innovative solution available, not only to consolidate current practices, but to contribute to the exploration of new ways to increase the impact and effectiveness of the philanthropic interventions. The Isabella Sevagnoli Foundation was established by the homonymous Bolognese philanthropist and entrepreneur, active in the industrial field in several sectors characterized by a strong technological impact, with an orientation based on the use of economic resources aimed at maximizing their effectiveness, therefore based on the entrepreneurial culture. The foundation has been working for about 20 years in its community of reference, coordinating numerous initiatives of social interest, mainly in the social health field, in full respect of the principles of subsidiarity that guide in a virtuous way the relationship between private and public. Acting as a sort of a holding company, the foundation coordinates and supervises the activity of 4 operational foundations, each dedicated to a specific area of intervention, which, while acting independently, can count on the Foundation's contribution of a strategic nature, including the integration of individual activities within the public sector ecosystem. Among these foundations, the most historic, founded in 2002, is engaged in the construction of a hospice for the care of children with terminal diseases, which will be operational from 2022. In the Italian context, because of its intrinsic characteristics, palliative care is considered as a non-priority area compared to that of therapies where the cure coincides with the healing from the pathology. With the new Children's Hospice promoted by the Isabella Seragnoli Foundation, we started from the best international practices in pediatric palliative care to structure a model of excellence for the city of Bologna that could become possibly also an international benchmark. We asked the research center of the Imperial College in London, specialized in innovative solutions, to improve citizens' health, to carry out a study starting from the international mapping of the main therapeutic necessity of the family with pediatric palliative care needs, in order to classify the most effective management models. In short, the study revealed some important guidelines to develop a therapeutic protocol integrative to the existing, able to represent the synthesis of the best available experiences and to give priority to the areas typically considered secondary or not attainable, given the available resources of the agencies in charge. To pursue this interest in measuring the impact of any investment in which we become active in a comprehensive and systematic way, we have decided to create a new institute, the AIS Foundation, with the mission of advancing impact and sustainability. The institute will address the development of an impact measurement approach, which will encompass the intangible, qualitative personal impact as much as the more traditional financial, social, and environmental impact. By including quality of life returns, this initiative promises to empower future decision-making with a substantially improved evidence base. We hope that by integrating this new innovative approach and methodological tools to our already cutting-edge therapeutic protocols, we could also give a substantial contribution in consolidating children palliative care best practices for a global impact in this very sensitive niche of social needs. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Peta. I think what your foundation is doing is a clear example of what philanthropy can achieve by filling gaps left by some sectors, by some healthcare systems, and the role of your foundation in palliative care for children is indeed of really utmost importance. And it is interesting to see how the structure you are putting in place in Bologna can serve as an example for other cities, countries in the world, because every country, every city is faced with these kind of dramatic cases. Now, I would like to go over to listen to Mrs. Michelle Cao. Mrs. Cao is the founder of the Photo Image Fund. And here we are very happy to have her with us. She has already contributed to previous seminars, and it's always a pleasure to listen to her. So, Mrs. Cao, please take the floor.
感谢高先生，感谢 Mr. David，我们是老朋友了。 很高兴今天下午又跟大家见面。我是 WePhoto 的 CEO 和创始人。那么 WePhoto 呢，可能很多朋友不太了解，也没有听说过。我们是一家互联网影像平台。那么你可以理解成它是影像行业的这个滴滴或者 Uber。我们全球呢合作了4万多个专业的摄影师，我们为企业客户、社会组织和个人来提供专业的影像服务。那么这些影像服务呢，包括这个图片直播，也包括短视频等等。我们的服务呢，现在覆盖了中国187个城市和16个海外国家。那么说起这个公益呢，我的个人的经历就是比较 special。我跟公益结缘是起源于2011年，当时呢，我是从欧洲工作回到中国，然后怀了我第2个孩子，偶然的接触到一些因为天生的这个残疾被遗弃的孤儿，他们有一些呢被送到上海来进行手术的救治。那么这些孩子，我是作为这个义工妈妈啊，就是他们手术之后负责照顾他们。这些孩子呢，他们有的下不了手术台，有的可能只能活3天，有的呢后来治疗成功了，然后被收养。那个时候呢，就非常的机缘巧合，我那个时候开了一家很小的摄影工作室，我当时就用镜头记录了他们的童年，甚至他们短暂的一生。所以从那个时候开始呢，我对影像有了更深入的理解。它可能不只是记录美好的东西，可能更重要的是记录人的这个一生。我会认为每一个人，即使是一个有天生残疾的小孩，即使他只能活3天，我觉得他都值得被记录，应该记录这个世界我曾经来过。所以我发现我们的镜头不仅能创造商业价值，更能创造更多的社会价值。我们可以让更多需要帮助的人被看见。所以呢，在2017年，当时我的公司才成立2年的时间，我们还是一家初创型的公司，也没有太多的钱，所以但是我们毅然决然的成立了全球第1支影像公益基金。和其他的公益组织不同呢，我们主要是征集全球的摄影师的志愿者，然后筛选出需要影像支持的这些公益项目，用我们的镜头和互联网科技赋能给这些公益组织。用照片和短视频来记录并传播公益事件和公益人群，让慈善、让公益被更多人看见，并被感召加入进来。大家会知道，就是照片和短视频是比文字更生动、更真实的展现形式。我们影像带来的影响力也许会超出你的想象。就是我对慈善的理解呢，我觉得它并不只是捐款，我们现在需要更多的人加入进来。关注慈善，并且有所行动。那怎么让他们加入进来呢？我觉得这个前提就是要让慈善和公益被更多的人看见。用照片和短视频这些生动的方式，更真实的方式，让他们所看见、了解，然后他们才做出选择，进行关注和行动。所以我觉得这个可能是在公益行动当中，也许是一个很小的点，但是实际上它可能带来更大的这种放大的力量。会感召更多人。所以呢，从2017年到现在4年来，我们的公益基金多次支持了教育、健康、艺术等公益活动，累计拍摄公益照片和视频作品3000多万张，传播人群达4亿多人次。这个可能是你们没有想到的它的一个传播效果和传播力量。那么有一个电影呢，就是叫《寻梦环游记》，我不知道大家是否还记得，它有一句话讲叫生命的终结不是死亡，而是被你所爱的人遗忘。所以我希望用影像让你所爱的人，让这些善良和美好不被世界所遗忘。我们要给这个世界留下点什么。所以最后呢，非常荣幸今天能和各位的交流，不管是这个 NGO 的公益组织，还是政府的一些公益活动，我觉得在未来如果各位需要公益影像合作，欢迎联系我。我们将携手全球的摄影师志愿者一起，致力于用影像传播公益价值，用镜头点亮世界。谢谢大家。
Thank you very much, Mr. Chao. And when listening to you, I understand why you are a successful artist and businesswoman. You have creativity, you have energy, and the fact that now you are putting it also in your philanthropist organization, I'm sure is a show of success for your organization, and please continue what you are doing. I think it can be also a big source of inspiration for many people around the world, for women, for men, for children also, because pictures, videos, all age are taking that. So thank you very much, Mrs. Chow, and we hope to keep in touch with you for your future activities. Thank you very much. Now I would like to introduce Mrs. Ophélie Renoir. Mrs. Renoir is the founder of the organization Le Bal, and the organization is very well known here in Europe, and in particular in France. And I would like her to explain what she's doing, what she's developing. So we leave the floor to Mrs. Renoir. We are waiting for Mrs. Renoir to appear.
I am sure we will solve the problem, Bernard.
Okay, okay.
In case I see that Miss Liu Qio, she is ready, so maybe we can go to Miss Liu if...
Liu? Sure. So I can then introduce Mrs. Liu Jiao from Xin Capital, who is going to develop the theme of China family offices and philanthropy. So we will give a little bit earlier than foreseen the floor to Mrs. Liu, and I already thank her to accept to be with us today. So Mrs. Liu, if you can, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and the fellow speakers. Thank you so much for inviting me to talk about the philanthropy initiatives among China's family offices. Indeed, it's my great pleasure to share with you our observations on the recent developments and indeed to learn from this platform. Since last year, common prosperity has been proclaimed as an important national policy and a working target by the party during its Central Committee conference. In August this year, the Central Party Finance Committee further confirmed that the common prosperity target would be achieved through 3 distributions of wealth, which philanthropy is a vital part. Despite some initial concerns among China's wealthy families, it is to be sure that the philanthropy initiative from these families will see an explosive development within the next few years in China. Following the party proclamation, most internet giants in China already announced their plans to contribute to philanthropy. For example, Tencent donated 50 billion RMB to its charity. And Alibaba also announced to donate 100 billion RMB within the next 5 years for common prosperity purpose. The list goes on for a very long one. According to Forbes, the charity contribution from wealthy Chinese families increased already by 37% this year so far. Among the family offices we work with, there are increased discussion about how to engage more resources, which already allocated aside, to keep up with the initiative and with the policy requirement. Our office also received a lot of requests for learning seminars and expert resources. We found most of the inquiries focus on 3 areas: which field, what expertise, and where the practice. First of all, what are the fields or sectors are best to devote resources? According to Forbes International Statistics, healthcare and the education sectors receive most of the charity donation. each accounting for approximately 1/3 of the total funding. And the poverty elevation is the third largest area to receive fundings. Currently, most of the families have already had rich experience in working with various charities in these fields. Apart from these major these areas, they also wanted to have individual interest to be included in their donations. Apart from those industrial majors, which have their own dedicated charity foundations, most of the families experienced the difficulties in setting up their own charity foundations, as regulatory approval and administration are very lengthy and complicated. In addition to those areas in the fields, families very much wish to devote their interest to and to reflect and to link to their own business practice too. However, for example, it is from one of our family family we worked with, it is very time consuming in the process, and the ambiguity, a lot of ambiguity in administration when they wanted and wishes to put in funds to a specific scientific research. Secondly, the reason for the above mentioned difficulties is pointing to a lacking of expertise resources in philanthropy, especially for the private sectors here in China, such as how to set up the legal structure with in-depth knowledge in mind of the government policies and administrations, the tax implications with arrangement with family business operations, regular monitor and evaluation of the operation efficiency, and so on. There are a shortage of expertise and experts here to satisfy many individual needs. Thirdly, there's not enough best practice examples under the Chinese circumstances for these family offices to follow. Most of the wealthy families in China worked very hard in their own business operation. Their concern for efficiency is paramount. Many families are skeptical and worried about the administration's clumsy and operation inefficiency and ambiguity, or sometimes even the corruption in many of the establishment there. So they also shared with us their good experience sometimes with certain international organizations, as they when they are very well informed of the whole process and often can see the direct results from their contribution and their charitable work. We see this disparity in trust is very real, and we believe it can only be resolved by Chinese charities' willingness and rapid adoption of best practice in philanthropy and also a high standard of transparency. It is still at very early stage of development, yet evolving very quickly, very fast in family offices initiative in China. It is important to be in close communication with our international counterparts for best understanding and practice. So thank you very much for this wonderful organization to organize organization of this China, Europe, and American cooperation initiatives, which help us to learn and to evolve. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Liu. And you mentioned that you learn, but we have a lot to learn from you, from your experience. And you show very well that philanthropy is not only a matter for billionaires, for multinationals, but also for a certain number of families, and not only rich families, but also the middle class, who are also have a philosophy of fraternity, of openness to the others, of helping the others. And I think companies like yours are playing an important role in helping these companies, these families to be helpful to their country, to the people in need. Thank you for the work you are doing. Thank you, Madam.
Thank you.
Now I would like to introduce Madame Renoir, Mrs. Ophélie Renoir, who is with us today. Yes. Mrs. Renoir is a founder of the organization Le Bal, and she will explain to us what she has developed, what she's doing, and how it can be an example for other organizations. So, Madame Renoir, thank you very much for taking time to be with us. And now we listen to you.
Well, thank you for having me. What I want to say is that philanthropy, I think now, is part of life, and it's mainly thanks to the younger generation. Because I think that in the old days, you could very well have a very privileged life and ignore the suffering of the world, when now it's no longer possible. Everybody is aware of what's happening everywhere, and the young people are very concerned about the suffering and the need for philanthropy. And I believe that in many families, the initiative comes from the younger ones. They are the ones who ask their parents and their grandparents, what are you doing to give back to society? I've noticed that many times. We do a ball where most girls and boys come from very privileged backgrounds, but I can see that they are all very concerned with philanthropy. And we have three main groups. We have the Asians, mainly Chinese, we have the Americans and the Europeans. And they all share the same sense of responsibility to give back to society. That's something that is very often mentioned when they talk. So I think that Le Bal is a minuscule example of global philanthropy, because they all give, all the families, which are 20 every year, which is not a large number, but they all give money to our charities. Some very large sum of money, some less, they have less, but they all contribute to the general event. I think I would like my event to be an example for many other ball of the kind.
Thank you very much, Madame, and thank you for congratulations for the work you are doing, and you are running a successful organization, but you have also the preoccupation of fraternity, of charity, of helping others, and I think you can be an example for many other people here in Europe and outside of Europe. So thank you, Madame.
Thank you.
For your intervention. I would like to thank our speakers of this morning, especially from our seminar, especially Mrs. Liu Ying from the China Sun Qinling Foundation, Mr. Liu Xuanguo from the Chinese Red Cross, Mr. Roth from the China Europe America Global Initiative, Mr. Peta, the chairman of the Isabella Serragnoli Foundation, Mrs. Chao from the V-Photo Image Fund, and Mrs. Liu Jiao from Zin Capital, and of course, Mrs. Renoir from Le Bal organization. All of them have shown that at every level, being the level of a big organization supported by the state, of a private organization, of also reaching the top companies, as well as reaching families, all contribute to this philanthropy movement. Thank you very much. Now, David, we are a little bit late on our schedule. It's now the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Bernard. And I have to say, when we began the afternoon, or this event 3 hours ago, already 3 hours, we said that it would be a very rich afternoon. It would be a very rich conversation. It is a very rich conversation, fascinating. And Bernard, if you allow me, I will give you the floor a little bit later for you also to have some conclusive remarks, because it's always very, very helpful to have you to conclude. I have to say that you said it, but I repeat, Bernard, because this connection, I see that Lioin is still with us. This connection today with Premier Zhou Enlai, Mr. Sun Ting is still with us, and Madame Song Qingling, it is an enormous honor. It is an enormous honor. So thanks to these two organizations, but the work that the Chinese Red Cross Foundation is doing is simply amazing. We have seen that, and I think we need to talk more about that. So many rich dimensions, diverse dimensions that we have been mentioning. Now it's time to conclude, and we will have a very short closing ceremony, but important closing ceremony, because we have with us back Professor William Wang, who is leading EM Lyon in Asia, and we have Mr. Nikolai Mosgard, and I will give them the floor first. And Mr. Mosgard, you are the co-founder of Impact Intelligence. It's about data analytics. Also knowledge strategic partner of our initiative. And you are going to talk with Professor Wang of something significant, something we are going to do, the production of an annual report on philanthropy. So before I give the floor to Mr. Fan, Mr. DeWitt, and Dr. Yu Chuan, I would like to give the floor maybe to Mr. Mosgard first to tell us how you see this report and why it is in your eyes significant. Mr. Mosgard, you have the floor, and thank you to Impact Intelligence to accompany us in this long march.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure. In coordination with Dean Wang, we have planned that he will first give a brief introduction on the methodology, and I will then cover a little bit on the technical details we're going to deploy. So I will actually quickly pass to Dean Wang and be right back in a few minutes. But thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, David. Thank you, Nicola. Yes, very quickly, we would like to jointly provide an overview of the Global Philanthropy Annual Report to be released January next year. The overall methodology of the report mainly focuses on the territories, categories, and field of philanthropy, organizations engaged in the philanthropy, and who are beneficiaries, the ways which philanthropy activities are carried out. Our future report will mainly cover the following three dimensions. The first one is by country and the region, the outlook of philanthropy in the United States, China, and Europe. Secondly is by industry. We are going to analyze the leading organizations conducting philanthropy activities, their projects, achievements, and the social impacts. The third field is about the main new trends of philanthropy, including new technologies, new business models, new partnership between private organizations and the governments, the role of family offices, and the creative practices to further reduce disparity and to further repair the underlying systems. The above is the methodological framework we tend to implement in the report. Now, I would like to invite Nicolas to introduce how to use data mining technology to produce a data-driven solid report. Nicolas, please.
Thank you very much, Dean Wang. Again, Professor Gossett, Board of Trustees, distinguished speakers, thank you so much for this great initiative. And it's been an inspiring knowledge sharing all afternoon. We are a sustainability and impact focused research organization, and we use state-of-the-art AI-powered tools such as natural language processing to study really large volumes of data that humans really could not process on their own. By applying both quantitative and qualitative research methods, we help different companies, NGOs, investors, think tanks to really figure out how to best pursue the 17 UN SDGs. Together with Dean Wang and his team, we will look into academic papers, annual reports, news articles, press releases, social media, blogs, have interviews with key stakeholders in philanthropy, and more to really map out and present an overview of global philanthropy. How does the landscape look like? What are the challenges and especially the opportunities? By mining these different types of data from around the world, from many different sources, we have actually seen from many projects, including ones looking at COVID, looking at diabetes, looking at different bottom of the pyramid populations, we have seen that we can actually identify challenges that often are not heard by looking at millions of voices. We can spot trends with regards to new technologies, new tools, new methods that are helping making life better for many people, especially on the bottom of the pyramid. So we are very excited to be working on this and look very much forward to presenting it in the beginning of next year. Again, Professor Gossett, thank you for this initiative, your vision, your passion, wisdom. It's really a pleasure and much appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you very much to Impact Intelligence and also all your colleagues involved at Impact Intelligence. This is very important what you are going to do, and of course thank to Professor William Wang and to E.M. Leung. Of course, for us to have this event, it is important because we would like the existing foundations to synergize. This is very important for the existing foundations to synergize, but we would like also to produce some knowledge in order to maximize the effectiveness of philanthropy. And of course, at the end of the day, also very important to encourage the philanthropic efforts. Now, all this work would have been impossible without the support of Ms. Vivienne Chia, but also Mr. Alex Fan, here representing East Langquan International Culture. And it is for me a great pleasure and honor to introduce Mr. Alex Fan, a writer, collector, I would say also thinker, and it is a great pleasure for us to have Mr. Alex Fan on the board of trustees of the China, Europe, America Global Initiative. And please, Mr. Alex Fan, the floor is yours for some concluding remarks.
大家好，我是丛山。中国古代的哲学家庄子曾有过一个著名的论述，他说：“吾生也有涯，而知也无涯，以有涯随无涯，殆矣。”他的意思是说，每个人的人生都是有限的，但这个世界上的知识是无限的，没有边界的。用有限的人生去追求无限的知识，是注定要失败的。 庄子没有告诉我们应当如何具体去避免这种失败，他提出了一个看似无解的问题。1959年，卡尔维诺写下了《为什么要读经典》，他讲到了一个非常有意思的故事。当毒药正在准备的时候，苏格拉底在用长笛练习一首曲子。这有什么用呢？有人问他。至少在我死前可以学习这首曲子。一个人的生命是有限的，人生短暂，如同白驹过隙，确实是我们要面对的宿命。但如果每一代人用自己的生命去传承，那人生就像一场无止境的接力赛，人类社会就会生生不息。审美的觉醒，知识的普及，是我们致力于通过慈善事业所触达的领域。阅读，对艺术的欣赏，年轻人学到的感受幸福的能力，生命的体验，这些都是非常重要的事情。这会帮助我们的世界变得更好。1835年，法国历史学家托克维尔在他最著名的作品里面写道：人生可以达到至善，知识的传播必然产生有益的结果，无知将导致可悲的致命的后果。社会是一个不断进步的机体，人生是一幅不断变化的图画，其中没有什么是永久不变或应当永久不变的。今天看来很好的事物，明天就可能会被更好的取而代之。这便是用有限与无限去博弈的美妙之处。当我们站在当下去看待未来，站在此岸去凝视彼岸，我们会找到这中间的路。积攒起来的是财富，而流通的更是财富。前者是长城，是金字塔；后者是运河，是江湖，是中国人所倡导的通达。基金会应该站出来，成为这个嘈杂世界中坚定而清晰的背景音。所有的知识文化应当被当作前进中脚下的车轮，而非背上沉重的包袱。生命确实充满无常，但当你翻阅古代经典，看到庄子在平静的湖面上泛舟而歌，在时间的深渊之上划过，追寻他所激起的涟漪，会感受到智者的生命所带来的启示。我想起吠陀经典中的一个故事，诸神的领袖因陀罗在创世之初建造了一张无穷无尽的大网，他以无数的宝珠嵌在这张网的每一个节点之上，每一颗宝珠不仅彼此相连，其表面也能映出其他所有的珠子。佛教在遥远的古代称其为万法，而我们在今天这个科技日新月异、信息高速发达的社会中，却也能悟出其中真谛。文明不是孤岛，而是彼此相连、没有间隔的海洋。如同庄子、卡尔维诺和苏格拉底之间穿越时空的交流，今天此时此刻，我们的交流同样跨越了时间与地域。我相信这仅仅是一个开始，让我们携手同行，以慈善之心，以毕生之力，让明天更加美好。祝福你们，我亲爱的朋友们。
Thank you very much, Mr. Fan, for this brilliant speech. And of course, I said that when we listened to the speech of Madame Viviane Dia, but it is always very important not to forget the philosophical aspects, and it gives to what we do some depth. And I was very happy to see the reference to Buddhism, of course, Vedas, to the Indian world, Chuang-Tzu, Tocqueville, and so on. This is to a certain extent very stimulating and a new beginning in this closing ceremony. Now, Bernard, I think you have not so easy role at the moment, because to speak after Mr. Fan is not easy, but I trust that we have also a lot of wisdom in Belgium. So, Mr. David, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, David. And I would like to say that I have nothing much to add after all the speeches we have heard and after hearing Mr. Fan. Indeed, I have not much to say. I would like to say, first of all, that we are all confronted here on the earth to the same problems. At a time when people want to put more borders, at a time when people want to stop contacts, stop intercultural contacts, we people like you, David, like our speakers who want to discuss, to dialogue with each other. And I think this is the solution. And philanthropy is one of the beautiful examples of this kind of dialogue that we can develop and that will continue to develop. And the annual report on global philanthropy that will be prepared by Professor Wang and Mr. Muscar will show also the growing importance of it in every field, being education, being human health, being art, of course, and also at different scales. The scale of big enterprises, the scale of billionaires, but also the scale of more modest persons, and being within the borders of one country, but also between North and South, between Europe, China, America, Africa. We are all confronted with the same questions. So, David, thank you very much for what you did. Thank you for your action, which is an action in favor of peace, in favor of respect of each other. And personally, I'm very glad to be part of your adventure and participating to this. And I wish that you can continue and you can be sure of our support on that. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. This is very precious and you understand us very well. Mr. DeWitt, some people talk about this idea of decoupling. Well, actually, what we are trying to do in a modest way is to renew, to reinvent the dialogue and to nurture a spirit that has been mentioned by Mr. Fan in his brilliant address at the very end of his address, the spirit of friendship. And this is very, very important in this complex moment. Professor Wang, Mr. Mosgard, Mr. Fan, Mr. Bernard DeWitt, it is a great pleasure for me now to give the floor to Dr. Yu Chuan, the president of the Academy of Contemporary China and World Studies, which is a very prestigious think tank in Beijing. They are doing a wonderful job, and really to have them today as a knowledge strategic partner has been a privilege, an honor, and a real pleasure. And I would like again, through you, Dr. Yu Chuan, to thank the China International Publishing Group, because your think tank is under this very important publishing group. So thank you very much, Dr. Yu Chuan, and the floor is yours. Sorry.
没有，谢谢。各位朋友，大家好，很荣幸哈，作为智库支持单位参加如此重要的一次会议。 也要祝贺我的好朋友高大伟先生，再次成功的举办了一次多边的论坛，挑选了一个如此重要的话题哈，大家通过将近3个多小时的热烈的讨论，就足以证明这个话题很重要，是我们共同关心的，它有共通性，我们就像陈曼女士在开场的时候说的。 关于慈善，我们心有灵犀哈，不需要更多的翻译，它就像音乐跟图片一样，我们大家都能相互欣赏。再有就是 各位很多精彩的讲述哈。我相信，首先是因为我们在这个慈善的行业我们做得好，所以说我们讲述的才能这么精彩。就跟我们研究现在中国故事一样，因为我们做得好，所以才能说得好。第一个想表示的就是祝贺。第二个，我想分享一个，为了筹备好今天这次论坛哈，我们上午也跟这个话题相关系的，我们和我的同事哈也在做一个小的慈善的一个行动。我们响应号召哈，在给我们长期资助的中国山西省酒泉县的一个小学的操场，在给他们捐款哈。我们很多同事说捐了10米的塑胶跑道，有的捐的这个有更多的。因为这一周哈，刚过去的这个9月5号是根据中华人民共和国慈善法规定的，是一个中华慈善日。所以说我们有这么一场活动哈。通过这个活动呢，我也想说一项我们的一个研究发现哈。刚刚这个王华校长和李凯乐先生有一个很精彩的报告的发布。我们的发现呢，随着中国人均的 GDP 突破了1万美元之后，或者说我们解决了绝对贫困、全面建成小康社会之后，我们发现慈善这个话题在中国的这个社会的关注度和参与度，包括媒体的曝光度哈，有了较大的提升。发现很多最近身边的朋友哈，无论是经济条件好的，或者是经济条件一般的，大家都在身体力行，关心和参与到慈善事业哈，或者是在关注慈善的话题。包括今天我们中国外交局的许多媒体的同行朋友哈，大家对这个话题都抱以了极大的热情。他们会后哈，我相信还会将我们这个论坛给报道好、传播好。我想它都是对我们这个话题，对我们这项慈善事业哈，是一个全球性、共通性的、关乎人类未来发展的这么一个重要的议题的关心和关注。这本身我想说，这也是一个慈善的行为跟行动。最后呢，我想说，作为高大伟先生的一个，我们2、3年来哈，有很多很好的合作，我们发起了很多很有意思的话题倡议，包括现在新搭建的中欧美这个对话的平台，我们也希望能讨论更多的像慈善这样的对关乎人类未来发展哈，关乎这个联合国可持续发展议程这些对人类社会对我们每个人的生活哈都很有意义、很有价值的这些话题。我们作为智库，这也是我们履行社会责任哈的一个重要的表现，我们愿意参与其中，贡献我们的力量。最后还要感谢我们各个主办方哈，为本次会议成功举办付出的努力，也感谢同传的议员，包括我的很多同事哈，我们在场的这些相关的会务人员的这个，包括我们高先生的团队做出的努力，再次表示感谢，谢谢大家。
非常感谢院长，非常感谢。Now it's time for me really to conclude this closing ceremony. Thank you again, because I would like to thank first the people I can see on the screen, Ms. Tia, Professor Louis Godard. Thank you you have been with us for 3 hours and 30 minutes. And I know your time is very precious, so thank you so much. Mr. Fan, Michel Tsao from Viphoto, of course, Bernard David and your team at the Belgian Chinese Chamber of Commerce, and we are very happy to know that we will go on to cooperate. Mr. Shen Qing, Mr. Frank Wang, Professor William Wang, and of course, Dr. Yu Yunquan, you and your team. It is wonderful to work with you. I would like also to tell the friends that because of the media partners, China Internet Information Center, Beijing Review, China Today magazine, founded by Madame Song Qingling, and China Focus, I think our conversation today will have some visibility. So I invite you to pay attention to their reports, because it is very interesting to see how they are going to report our conversation. And thank you also Dr. Yun Xuan to think about the interpreters, Bao Yilun and Lu Wei, and I would like also to, I have pronounced their names because it is very important for me to thank them. And Mr. Yun Xuan, you understand that we have been working on this event for several months, actually, several months. And I would like here to acknowledge the very hard work of Miss Lin Ke-ya. You have been in touch with her, Miss Li Lu, Miss Long Hai-yen, Miss Xu Zhongzhong, and Miss Zhang Yakwen. This is very important for me to tell the names. The conversation will go on. We really hope that next year at the same moment, September the 8th, we will be all together somewhere. It might be in China. Thank you very much, Mr. Chen Zuping, for being also with us. Because of course, it's good to have the conversation online, but I think in the spirit of friendship, to nurture friendship, it's even better to meet offline. But well, we are doing our best in the world, which is our world today. I loved very much what you have said, Dr. Yun Xuan. While we are very divisive forces at the moment, in fact, philanthropy unifies us. Philanthropy unites us. And it is why it's such an important topic. And if our goal is for us to co-build a community of shared future, it will have to begin by doing together as one human family, as one mankind, more philanthropic efforts in order for us, because today all of us, we are very privileged actually to give back and to give back again and again. Thank you very much to all of you, and I hope we meet soon in China or outside of China. Thank you very much. 谢谢大家.
Thank you, David. Thank you all.